The NFL sports calendar never rests. We are 10 days out from the NFL combines. We are getting closer to free agency. We got the Olympics going on, which is pretty cool. Hey, I didn't know that Chloe, the snowboarder, I didn't know she was dating Myles Garrett. I saw Myles Garrett in Italy. I'm like, that's dope, man. The guy's in Italy. And Chloe, that's the snowboarder, that's her boyfriend. I'm like, that's awesome. So we got that going on. I think Team USA plays tonight. And we have the April draft coming up. And again, the team that never sleeps is the Philadelphia Eagles. It has content every freaking day. Absolutely. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. We're here for the next couple hours. We appreciate it. By the way, Howard Balzer will be with us. That'll be at 3:30. Big Z will be with us at 4:30. All right. Hit that like button. And we started off with A.J. Brown. I want to read this, and I want you to tell me if you had the same takeaway as me. So, Jason Kelce was on WIP today, and I listened to the clip, and this is basically what he said about A.J. Brown. And then I'm going to give you my opinion of what it means. Jason Kelce on perceived lack of effort from A.J. Brown this season. He's just, unfortunately, a player who allows his internal frustrations to manifest into his play. I read you a scouting report. And it makes him play worse, which makes the offense look worse. Sounds to me like Jason Kelce's talking to me about a player that's not mentally tough. A.J. Brown's not a mentally tough player. I mean, I'm going to read it again. You tell me if you think what I take away from it, do you get the same thing? Kelce on the perceived lack of effort from A.J. Brown. By the way, it's a sound clip. You can go listen to it. And my opinion, that is an opinion now. You tell me if you have the same opinion. He just unfortunately is a player who allows his internal frustrations to manifest into his play, and it makes him play worse, and it makes the offense look worse. Okay? Sounds to me like he's not a tough guy mentally. That guy's not a guy you want in your foxhole. If you're not mentally tough, dude, what the fuck are we doing here? You can easily be beat when your frustrations get the best of you. I mean, I get why some of the things that were said about you in Tennessee now. You're not a mentally tough guy. Am I reading that wrong on what Jason Kelce said? I mean, Jason Kelce's basically saying, this guy's a great player, but when he gets frustrated, it gets the best of him. Well, that's a guy who's mentally weak. I mean, that's a guy that's not a mentally tough player when you need him the most. Isn't that funny? When things start to go south on the football team, AJ's at his worst. AJ's at his worst. Is that a guy you want when you're making transition and you're trying to make a transition from one offense to another? And if the shit's not going right, is A.J. Brown the guy you want on your football team? If you're trying to maybe this is one of the things that after they went to that run game in 24, the frustration has built up so much. This guy, he's never been, do we agree, ever since Saquon Barkley came to the Philadelphia Eagles, do we agree he's not been the same guy? So the Eagles 6 for me is T.J. Parker, Sis, Boston, Proctor, Lemieux, and Young. I like it, Kyle. Appreciate the super. Thank you. Okay? I don't know how Howie didn't force a sports psychologist to be by AJ's side to help keep him focused unless they did. There's no way they did. AJ Brown, do you want that guy on your football team when you're trying to make a transition? And if he doesn't like it, he's going to throw a fit? Do you want AJ Brown on your football team? This guy's going to throw a fit if this doesn't work. I mean, let's do this again. Do you really want a guy that Jason Kelce said this? You know, the guy's not mentally tough. So Howie will draft O-line in round 1. I agree. Now he's talking money. If you're a gray and don't pay a sub each month to support the channel, sit down. Yeah. Who are you talking to, Sue? Appreciate you, Sue. Thank you. Still serious conversation. Should the Eagles take the cap hits now to reload and get younger in the offense? Trade back to 26 and 27 draft will have wide receivers and D-line. That's a good thought. AJ all the way. Heard it yesterday. Wants the ball all the time. Piettis. I'm talking about Jason Kelce is saying right now. Jason Kelce saying that this guy's not tough. Dude, they're going to make a meteoric change in the offense. I heard Xander and John talking. So wait a minute. If shit starts to go south, Sean Mannion's going to go back to doing what they did? Why'd you fire Stoutland then? When I heard that today, Xander was on with John. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to type in, if you go back to what you did, then why'd you fire Stoutland? If Sean Mannion goes into the season and shit's not working and you hired a guy to install a new system and a new way of winning, and then you revert back, what the hell did you fire Stoutland for? To go back to a lesser O-lineman in a more unestablished offensive coordinator? So you're not all in? That didn't make sense from John to me. Here, wait. First 4 weeks, this shit don't work. Well, we're going to go back to what we did with lesser experienced coaches. The stuff doesn't add up. Once again, dude, you're missing the fucking point. If they go back to doing what they did the last 4 years, why did you fire Stoutland? To go back to a lesser experienced offensive line coach and a lesser experienced coordinator? I'm not even talking about Stoutland. I'm talking about staying the course. Come on, Sil, Stout out and had enough. You're missing the points, man. Listen, guys, I'm not going to go through that again. You're missing the point. John, he said this morning, I heard it. If that new coordinator, Sean Mannion, and this new scheme doesn't work, what they're going to try to do, they're going to revert back to what they normally do. And they're going to adjust. Okay? Why'd you fire Stoutland? I think Julian Laurie has a bigger role in all of this than we think. He hired the coordinator. So my take in hiring lesser coaches is simple, that they have to start sometime. Stoutland firing was idiotic. Okay, Mr. Hill, I agree with you. You got to start somewhere. But 5 guys? Seals, getting number 31 from New England for AJ is looking pretty good right now. Flipping AJ for Crosby looks pretty good too. I think the Raiders are going to want a little bit higher of a pick than the 23rd player taken. Seals, what do you think of getting Dunker? He fits the Stoutland mold, but unsure how he would fit in the new scheme. I'll take a look at more of the draft picks as we get closer to the NFL draft. We first got to get through free agency. I don't mind talking the draft picks. We're big college guys, you know. They're all trying to evolve the offense. Stout isn't waiting for them to fail and go back to the original offense. It's not rocket science. Stout left. He wasn't fired. He was pushed out, in my opinion. So, in your opinion, what's the key to the system working? The quarterback. On-time throws, dissecting defenses, being able to read defenses, processing. That's what's key to this. You've got to have to run a West Coast offense, I think you have to have an elite arm. And I think you have to have a guy who can process the defenses. This is a thinking man's offense. You don't really have to be an athlete to run this. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, you don't have to be. That's why when you get somebody like Steve Young or you get somebody like Aaron Rodgers that is athletic, get this, look at this. The old scheme was bad. They were 50-18 with 2 Super Bowl appearances in the Super Bowl. I'm not even reading the rest of that bullshit. Scheme was bad. Back-to-back NFC champ. You won 3 NFC East championships in the last 4 years. You went back-to-back. You got 2 Super Bowl appearances, and you're 50-18. And you got a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. Get this. It wasn't a good system. Okay, guy. According to Kaplan's interview on your show, if the timeline adds up, Stoutland changed his mind when they hired Mannion. Probably so. I never said nothing about money. I think you're talking to someone else. All good, brother. Let's see here. Seahawks, I don't think are a good football team. I think they're okay. All right, so again, A.J. Brown's not mentally tough. Is that a guy you want to build your football team around? I got you, Flexen. I got you, bro. Is that the guy you want to build your football team? This offense is for teams with bad O-lines. This offense is for a team with a really great quarterback. Not an okay one. By the way, I thought it was really awesome. Adam Kaplan told you exactly who Jalen Hurts is. He's a good player. I think we've always said that too. Hurts is a good ball player, man. Elite? Nowhere near it. The guy's not an elite quarterback. I think you have to have a guy who knows how to read defenses to be in this offense. What people won't admit is that AJ and Smitty, with their incredible catches, bailed this team out for the last 4 years. I happen to agree with that. AJ's like that because he knew what would happen. Not ideally, but we are under the gun with money. That I agree with. And it's not exactly clear if other teams will pay or give up enough for AJ. That's a pretty damn good take. Was Keyshawn Johnson mentally weak? Absolutely not. Keyshawn Johnson was a pain in the ass. He was a pain in the ass. Mentally weak? No. No, he wasn't. 2 collapses in 3 years, Sills. Scheme was horrible. Vic just hit it very well with the defense. Dude, in the last 3 years, you've won back-to-back NFC East titles, a Super Bowl, and you're 3-1 in the playoffs. 3-2 in the last 3 years. Is that awful? Shit, you got me defending that shitty offense now. If the Raiders get their quarterback at number 1 and AJ at number 23 pick, that's a steal. What is Sills talking about? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What positions are deep in free agency? Let me take a look at that. I will do that in a bit. Remind me, Kyle. I don't care about you agreeing with. I'm not sure. Again, you have no money to spend. Right now, they're about 23 million or 20 million cap space. Okay, 20 million. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. We appreciate you. I thought that was one of the absolutely incredible lines that I read and really listened to when it came to Jason Kelce calling A.J. Brown mentally soft. Made me think this. Why in the world would I want to bring that guy back when I'm trying to make all these changes? Why would I do that? Okay, why would I want him back? By the way, here's something else to think. Wait a minute. I'm spitballing here. Why would I want to bring a player back that I have to convince to come back? You know what I'm saying? If I have to convince you to come back and play in Philly, I don't want the guy on my team. Right? Why would you want? I got enough trouble with the new coaches and the new scheme I have to do. Sills, you defending Nick's shitty offense. Would have never seen the day. I know I'm catching myself there with that a little bit, right? Analytics is costing you first downs. It seems very set of downs. Every set of downs. Yeah, because they're losing first and second down. You're dead right there, Charles. Seahawks got this win. Sills, rub that Buddha belly for us. We're getting repeat from D1. Sills, the issue was not the scheme. The issue was that offense one-dimensional. If we could run, we had nothing else in the bag of tricks. That's the quarterback. When we did run, well, things opened up. Dude, I'm getting AJ Brown's being called out by Jason Kelce in a nice way. That his mental weakness hurt the team a year ago. Sills, I guess AJ's immaturity makes him mentally weak. I'm not breaking his balls. Mental health is real. We need him, Sills. Look. Mental health for a football player. You know what, for me, this is going to sound terrible. And I'll say this to you. Mental health. Okay. I'll trade you to a team that deals with that better than me. This is a professional sport that I have to have as much focus as possible. This is not a daycare center. This is not a mental health center. If you need more help, I'm not willing to do it. I'm trying to build a football team. And I don't want that responsibility. That sounds terrible. I'm sorry, folks. That's how NFL teams think. If there's a problem on the team, C.J. Gardner was a nightmare. They moved him. Tim Tebow, with his prayers and his faith of God, he was basically exiled from the league. At the end of the day, you guys are thinking that these teams give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about you. You and me, on the other hand, we care about people. The NFL doesn't give a shit about that. You need to think like NFL teams. You think they give a shit about players' health, let alone their mental health? When they're asking for an 18th game? Come on, man. Hey, Mr. Hill, I get it. You're not wrong. This ain't about right and wrong. Okay? This isn't like that. This got nothing to do with that shit. It sounds bad, doesn't it? Well, that's the NFL. She says, how good do you think Harbaugh will be? I think Harbaugh's assembling himself a great coaching staff, and they're going to be good. I don't know how good, but it won't be because of a lack of coaching. That's cold, Sills, but that's the truth. No one wants to admit it. Amen, brother. Hey, I don't like talking like that. I don't, because you don't sound like a cool dude. Well, the NFL, whoever said they gave a shit about health? Okay? I mean, nobody gives a shit. People use mental health as scapegoats. Look what Ben Simmons pulled. Hey, dude, I believe that it's a real thing. I get it. Organizations don't give a shit about it. Hurts will go to another level with AJ if he's traded. How in God's name is he going to go to another level when he's never displayed that in the pocket? Another level. He doesn't have another level. Sills, when AJ was involved in the game plan, his focus was on the game. Correct. When he was not involved, he got all twisted, mentally weak. The team does not care about mental health, but the NFLPA should. My friend, you're talking like you're trying to make sense. Big Sills, thanks, bro. You got me to understand it's a ruthless business. Mr. Hill, you're not wrong to think that, and you should have compassion and empathy for people. I completely agree with you as a man and as a human. As an NFL guy, they could give three shits for that. They'd rather just move the problem. Mr. Hill, how about this? So if they cared about player safety, wouldn't there be more buys? Expanded rosters? They wouldn't be seeking 18 to 20 games? Those are the facts. Okay? Those are the facts in what you have. All right? Those are the facts. 3:30 p.m. I knew he would mess it up. 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Big Z, make sure you send it to him. I know you did. I'm sure you did. But 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Sills, I respectfully disagree about Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Then second best, Jalen Hurts is really good. I know I may be biased as an Eagle fan. Listen, Shane, I think he's a really good player. I really do. I think he's a good player. Elite. The last two teams that won the Super Bowl, in my opinion, they won it with two non-elite quarterbacks. Seals, I would be intrigued with AJ off the team. Hurts will be forced to the ball and get the ball to Devontae and be forced to spread the ball. Actually, that's the next topic. Well, he is disengaged, runs only 3 routes, literally, and doesn't get the ball where he is open every play on the film. Jalen's offense has ruined him. It's not Jalen's offense that has ruined him. It's the approach and style of play. Style of play has get this. Style of play has disengaged A.J. Brown, and has disengaged and not developed Jalen Hurts. Okay? Mark Holmes has had mental issues. I'll bring that up with him. Okay? Bring that up with him. Hey. So, here's the next topic. Okay? Okay? Here's the next topic. A.J. Brown. Would this football team, the Eagles, be better? And do you believe they can win with Devontae Smith and with Saquon Barkley and the football and the new scheme going through those two and not having AJ? According to Jeremy Fowler, executives are expecting the Eagles to take numerous calls about potentially moving him. Do you believe that the Eagles can win games through Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley? If they built the offense, okay? If they built the offense through A.J. Brown not being here, talent-wise, Hurts is the weakest link. In terms of morale, Brown has to go. 10 games max. No AJ, Hurts won't have 15 TD passes. No, I don't think the Eagles can win without AJ. We need him. And we need him. I hope AJ's back in 26 and AJ's part of the new offensive scheme. Yes, but the issue with Saquon and Hurts have a captain struggle. Is this Hurts' team or Saquon's? Saquon's more of a leader, in my opinion. They both are different. I feel there's a locker room situation like T.O. and McNabb. I don't believe that at all. RC3. Do you think AJ's bullshit is hurting Hurts? It's a good question. Maybe a little. Sills, when do the Eagles hold Howie on the hot seat? I don't believe Howie Roseman will ever be on the hot seat. Not in any time or any foreseeable future. I don't believe that. Thanks, dude. Guy's weird. Eagles need a wideout willing to go between the hash marks. Let Smitty be your deep threat. I'll ask you again. Do you believe that you in this offense, okay, do you believe that this offense can win with just and have the offense go through Devontae Smith? So we better draft a couple players ready to play in the position of need, or we're going to have another Temu offseason. We need a wide receiver who can move around. That's another thing. That's why Devontae makes more sense in this new scheme that you're going to run. I'm starting to think that they're really going to start thinking about moving away from A.J. Brown as we get closer to free agency. Shields, we need A.J. Now, how about this? You know how you can get AJ out of here? You can go into AJ and have him restructure his contract to make it easier for him to go to a team and make it easier for the Eagles to move him. If you want to get him out of here and he wants out of here so bad and he wants to go to the team that he wants to go to, he can restructure his contract. We'll restructure the deal and we'll try to get you to a winner. And we'll try first to get you to New England. He's out of the conference. He's not in the NFC anymore. He's in the AFC. You want to really move and you want to really, and get this. I mean, what would New England be willing to give up? New England's 31st number one overall pick. So you'd have a pick at 23 and 31. You'd have 2 ones. You can move up and get a wideout, or you can go and move up maybe with both those ones and get yourself in a better position to get the Miami offensive tackle. Great take on Devontae. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. I don't think he could be a number one in this offense. And the new one you're putting in, the quarterback's the issue. The quarterback is not a West Coast guy. He'll never be. Now, what variation are they going to run with that? No player would take a pay cut to get traded. Nobody's. Kevin Byard restructured his contract when he left Tennessee to play in Philadelphia. He had a big-time contract, restructured his deal. And, well, then you're going to go to the Browns. Then you're going to go to the Titans. Then you're going to go to shitty teams like Arizona. You're not going to get to go where you want. He has no control over his destination unless he redoes his deal. AJ, it's either here or a shitty team. If you restructure, that's a different story. He has no control. Once again, this guy's a fucking idiot. He sits here talking all week long about dumb shit so I can recognize him. There, guy. Dude, different situation? No shit, dickbag. No shit. But how you move people by moving money. This guy's the dumbest dude in here. I thought M. Reyes was. That guy takes the fucking bank. He's a moron. This entire switch is based on Hurts' ability to play better. I don't see him succeeding in this offense. I don't either. This guy's not going to win in this. Now, will depend on what the variation is. Okay? Let's see here. Reyes, yeah, really? He does, huh? Well, I'm the one that shows up here every day for my show. He shows up for my show. You figure it out. By the way, I actually dig the guy. So as we saw in No AJ in 2021, Smitty was one and we had Sanders and inexperienced Jalen. We made the wild card. That's going to be our ceiling. AJ, 10 wins. Agreed. Comeback? It's not really a comeback. It's facts. I feel we have A.J. Brown. I feel if we have A.J. take a pay cut, then that's good. If he stays, because then he can get extended. Jalen Phillips and maybe Dallas Goedert. He's not taking a pay cut to stay. That's not what I'm saying. If you're trading A.J., it's for Crosby, Garrett. A.J. Brown is not in the same conversation as Myles Garrett. Bro, you're looking at once again, Eagle fan thinking that you have a player that's in Max Crosby or Myles Garrett's league is insane. The most you'll get for A.J. Brown is a 2. You're not getting a 1. Are you crazy? If you do, it would be New England, and that it'd be at 31. You guys are looking at A.J. Brown. You think he's some sort of He's not looked at like that right now the last 2 years. Okay? He's not. Never said we wouldn't trade picks too. Limited words. I'm not sure what you're talking about here, man. Here's Prince. Prince, I agree. This is what's going to make this offseason great, though. This offseason is hurting my head. Trade package. Mendoza needs a wideout. To the Raiders, great pick. Now here, trading AJ and giving the Raiders a 3 for Crosby, that kind of makes sense. That makes sense. Crosby's a better player than A.J. Brown right now. He's a better football player. Abe, okay, let's see here. Need a quarterback to throw for 4K every year usually means you don't have a complete team. That's right. The more elite the quarterback, the lesser the team. You notice that? They got the money. They got the money. Boy, hey, man, Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson on each side, Detroit would go to the Super Bowl. Shields, you got to pay attention in the chat. I pay attention to what I want to pay attention to, but I appreciate you, my friend. Denny Sills, Kubiak already said he'd evaluate on the players, not guarantee they will take Mendoza. I think Mendoza's a third-round pick. He's not impressive to me. Like, if I'm gonna build a football team around a quarterback, he ain't it. So the quarterbacking system is the main reason AJ's value has dropped. Maybe a little. Sills, if we trade AJ, would we have enough money to extend Phillips and Jalen Carter? I think that cap hit, if you move him now, when free agency starts, you got to carry that money till June 1. So you're going to be limited. I'm with you too. Hey, look, he's got all kinds of crazy intangibles. By the way, we have some off-season questions that we're going to throw at you here in a minute. Sills, AJ wants to dominate. He doesn't want to be here anymore. The quarterback doesn't get him the ball enough or on time. Okay, yeah, he just doesn't get him on. AJ doesn't like the fact. You heard what Kaplan said. AJ hates the fact that Jalen Hurts doesn't get the ball to him on time. He's talked to A.J. Brown about this. Go back and listen to that interview that Kaplan had yesterday, Adam Kaplan. A.J. Brown hates the way the quarterback, he doesn't like the quarterback's skill. This is on the quarterback. I think Eagle fans are delusional and spoiled. You guys got spoiled with Hurts and a top defense. Now you act like the Patriots under Belichick and Brady. You ain't a dynasty. Respect Hurts. Kaplan told the truth. He will become a regular. He's already asked to come on the program. Guys, hit the like button. Appreciate you guys being here. Sills, AJ and Crosby are close. Wide receiver versus edge. I can win a Super Bowl without both guys. If my quarterback is elite. If my quarterback's not elite, I probably need AJ. And so you probably are right with AJ versus Crosby. Okay? I mean, JSN is spectacular in Seattle. Darnold's a good player. He's not an elite guy. So even is that guy, don't tell me respect, a Wildcat WB. Don't know what that is. My bad. 100%. Seen AJ open so many times on a slant, and the ball was never out before his break. He doesn't throw with anticipation. Now, again, I want to go back to what we said about how much are they going to completely change this. Seals, if we can somehow get another late number 1 pick and we offload AJ, we can use that for a shiny new wide receiver. And maybe re-sign Goddard. Goddard ain't coming back, dude. Why would Goddard come back? You made him take a $4 million pay cut. You've already, why would he come back? The only way he comes back is if he's cool taking that $4 million pay cut. There's nothing you can do to bring him back unless he says, okay. And I happen to think the Bucs should sign him. The Bucs are going to be looking for a tight end because they're moving off of Cade Otton. If I were the Eagles, I might look at Cade Otton. Cade Otton plays in a spread offense. Maybe I'd bring him in. He's a pretty good football player. He would hate playing with the quarterback, but he's a spread offense tight end. Why would Hurts get it to AJ on time? With the way he acts, way he's acting, Sills, giving up on routes and speculation of drop passes on purpose. I don't believe that he's dropping passes on purpose. Okay? I wouldn't throw the ball on time either. I don't believe A.J. Brown's dropping passes on purpose. I do not. Okay? Smoke. I don't believe that. The only way Goddard returns is if his wife doesn't want to relocate. Agreed. Kyle says, Sills, appreciate the super, Kyle. Thank you. Sills, let's say for shits and giggles, we trade AJ to the Patriots for a 1. You get your wideout or O-line with the first pick and then trade back to get other positions. Okay? I'm in there. I could be in there for that. Yeah, we don't need to move off of AJ. It's just a matter if he wants to be here or not. I feel his message is getting a little bit convoluted, but I think it's also getting a little bit tiring. He didn't help himself by leaving immediately after the game. You're talking about him being in the locker room when he left. You want to know who did drop passes on purpose? That Jerry Judy. How he tried to screw Sanders on the Browns for the Danny Loser boy coach Stefanski. How does dropping passes help you if you're going to become a free agent, though? I always dismiss that. Why would I'm hurting myself. Okay? Sills, listen, here, let me say this to you about the spread. Yes, Mr. Hill, you've got to be a guy that you're throwing to a spot. You're counting on the receiver to turn in the balls there. Hurts throws with a tail. He doesn't do that. That's why he's late on throws. And they're back shoulder throws. And the receiver has to slow down. He doesn't throw with anticipation of the guy breaking and the ball's there. Watch Brady throw the football and then watch Hurts throw the football. Okay, Brady, let's take that out because that's an outlier. Tom Brady, guys like Mahomes. Watch Kirk Cousins. Watch Phillip Rivers. Boom, cut, ball's there. You don't have to have a strong arm. Peyton Manning never had the strongest arm on the planet. He never had the strongest arm, but he threw with anticipation. Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, bam. Peyton Manning understood defenses, pre-snap reads. Still agree or disagree with this? AJ is so set on leaving, redo the deal, and we will trade. I think you mentioned it, which allows us to keep our core. If he wants out, what I would do, okay, I'd restructure my deal. I'm not looking to take less money, but you got to make it so that it's convenient for the Eagles to be able to move you to a team you want to go to. If you just go like this, I want fucking out of here. They're going to send you to the Titans. They're going to send you to the Jets. Why? The Eagles want to get high picks. If you're going to get a 2, I want a high 2. I'm not going to send you to the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be low 2s, 3s, 4s, whatever. And that team still has to take on the dough. I'd be less apt to make that deal. So you've got to make it this way. You got to go like this. And you got to say shit like this. Okay, look, I'll restructure the contract, lower my base. Okay, lower the base. I don't know how you have to restructure the contract. He's making 30, and you're not going to get a 1 for him unless it's a late one. Why is Jalen not working on his game? He needs to get with the coach and get there halfway. How do you know he's not? I don't know he's not doing that. At the Pro Bowl, Jalen said he would want a spread in the red zone instead of tush push. Why would Jalen Hurts be talking about a spread offense when he's never run one? He's going to run something he's never run in year 7? You know what's funny? Name me one of the elite quarterbacks that runs a completely different offense from his. Matthew Stafford ran a spread offense in Detroit, runs a spread offense in Los Angeles. Mahomes runs a spread offense. They're not changing that, even if Andy Reid leaves. They're not doing any of that shit. Hurts is going to go completely different, and they're going to turn the thing inside. I've never heard of this. Okay? Well, Hurts was not training with the wide receivers and tight ends last season. Is there any quarterbacks in Philly? I remember the comment. I do. I remember the comment. Vic isn't elite, though. Michael Vick wasn't an elite quarterback. He was an elite talent. What is your biggest thing about Jalen Hurts that you think that you like and don't like? Okay? I like this. I think Jalen Hurts is a winner, but Jalen Hurts also may be physically limited at some things. We've seen he can throw over the middle. I've never seen Jalen Hurts really consistently throw over the middle. What do I like about Hurts? I like this question, Shane. When I say this doesn't mean he can read defenses. I think Jalen Hurts sees the game well. I think he's smart in game. I think he knows when to get down, when to slide. I think he knows not to make mistakes, even though I hate the sacks. I think he's a smart ball player. I think that smart makes him a winner. I think he's a smart dude. Look, I don't care about the off-color stuff. His personality's not quite what I would want in my quarterback. I don't think he's vocal enough. But I do think like there's a lot of things you like about the kid. He's a winner. He's tough. He's tough. Yeah. So the thing I hate about him, and I don't really hate, it's just the style of quarterback. He can't read defenses. He's not very good in the pocket. He takes sacks, and he never throws on time. And get this, with all those limitations, he somehow figures it out. That's why it's not consistent. All those limitations is the reason he's not consistent, because he's really not good at anything when it comes to throwing from the pocket. I mean, people go like this. He's got a big arm. So what? Big arms don't win. Smart football with the ball, being able to spread the ball around, anticipation throws, all of that shit. Check downs. It's funny. The shorter the pass, the more success you have. Not the deeper the pass. So when people go, he throws the best deep pass. Well, Brady never did. I think Allen struggles with a bad roster and his impatience. Is it fair to say if Hurts took less sacks by like 20 to 25, you would think he would be better? Or would you see more throwaways? I don't mind the throwaways. Throwaways a good play. Hey, get this, Messiah. Punting is not a bad thing. Punting is field position. The punt is a good play. It's not a bad play. Now, 3 and outs, not winning on first and second down, becoming repetitive at that, you're not going to have a very good offense. However, punts are not bad. Why? It changes field position. So it's not that shitty. You know what I'm saying? It's not that shitty. So, I mean, I'm good with it. So, hey, just remember that. Punting is a good thing. It's not an awful thing. All right, let's see what's going on here. Is the chat doing well? I mean, we all right here with that? Seems to be. Allen and Hurts are a lot alike. No, they're not. They're nothing alike. Allen is more risk taker, more reckless, better arm. That's not an awful take. Yeah, I'm with you. See, I don't know what the hell that is. Hurts is that you feel like you always have a chance to win when he's in there. Given Jalen the league leading rusher, and he'll win a Super Bowl. Well, dude, why am I paying you $50 million? That's, by the way, you think Seattle's going to struggle? Guess who's a free agent, guys? Does anybody know who a free agent is on that Seattle team? You guys have an idea who's a free agent coming up in a couple weeks? Guess who's a free agent? And a guy I surely would love to have in Philly. Guess who the free agent is? You got it. Kenneth Walker is going to be a free agent. A Super Bowl MVP. I mean, how much are they going to pay that guy? You're going to give Darnold a raise, right? How much you paying him? What do you have, 160 yards, 135 yards in rushing? Seals, have you heard the take by ESP? If Hurts requests an extension and the Eagles decline at this time, he should demand a trade. I think it's a long shot. Jalen asked for one right now. I think if Jalen Hurts asks for I think if the agent, Nicole Lynn, asks for a contract extension, I think the Eagles would punt that. Nah, we're not interested. Why would you be interested with a brand new system a new OC, a new quarterback coach, a new offensive line strategy, a new offensive pass game strategy, and you're going to give the quarterback who you're not sure can do any of this a contract extension? All this negativity about Hurts, he had 68% win percentage, all the Pro Bowls, MVP. The dude must be one hell of a con artist. Hey, Big Ed, why are they changing the offense completely then? Why are they changing the offense then completely? Why'd they fire all the offensive coaches? Any idea? Why did they? You have a super team? You got beat by the 49ers with the JV team. I feel Jalen Hurts is better than Josh Allen. Will you be stupid? Yeah, but Sills, if Lamar gets a new deal this year, if I'm Jalen, I'm looking around like, where's my money? Do you really think that Jalen Hurts is in the same conversation with Lamar Jackson as an athlete and as a quarterback? Or do you think he's in a better situation than Lamar? Now, I will say this. Baltimore's not a bad situation. And he has not taken advantage of it. But he's a better player. A two-time MVP. He's a better football player. However, Jalen takes advantage of his situation better than what Lamar has. Okay? Jalen is not a better player than Lamar. Jalen does take better. He takes more advantage of the surroundings around him than what Lamar does. He's not a better ball player. Dude, nobody on the planet would take Lamar. Only Philly people would do that. If you ask the Eagles, would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts? They're going to take Lamar. He's a 4,000-yard passer, a 30-yard TD guy, and he's a two-time MVP. And he's more consistent than Hurts has ever been when it plays in style of play that they're looking to play. How about this? Outside of 22, has Jalen Hurts ever played with the consistency on a week-to-week basis that Lamar Jackson has? Yes or no? Has he? Has he played with more consistency? Anybody? He has? What year was that? What year was that? Here's Lamar Jackson. My God. He's never even remotely done anything near what this guy's done. Okay, Lamar Jackson is 76-31 as a quarterback in 8 years of play. He has thrown for 36 touchdowns in his first full year starting, and he won the Most Valuable Player award. That year, he threw for 3,200 yards, 36 touchdowns, and he ran that year for what? 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns. What? I mean, in 24, he threw for 4,100 yards, 41 TD passes, 4 interceptions, won his second MVP. I didn't realize that Lamar Jackson's got 3 MVP awards. Excuse me. The AP. MVP's got 2. AP's got 3. I didn't realize that. This guy's thrown. How many people think Jalen Hurts will ever throw for 41 touchdowns and 4 picks? Sam Darnold's got a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold and Jalen, same way. Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts, both got Super Bowls. Seals, if Lamar is on Philly, does he outplay Mahomes twice? I think Lamar Jackson needs a coach like Andy Reid. Maniac, 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. You think Hurts will ever, with this new offense, ever be in that conversation? Fuck no. And he threw the ball 474. How many yards rushing did he have that year, too? He had 41 TD passes that season. How many rushing did he have? He had 915 yards rushing and 41 touchdowns passing and 915 yards rushing. 4,100 yards throwing the ball. Come on, man. Sills, Hurts has a Super Bowl win with an MVP. Dude, I told you this before. It's tougher to win the MVP award in the regular season than a Super Bowl MVP. 6 months of football versus 60 minutes? You tell me, Big Mike, what's tougher to do? 6 months of consistent football or 60 minutes of football? Only stat that I'm concerned with is his rushing. The rest will work. I don't believe the rest will work itself out. You do? I don't. I don't believe Ika's going to be able to run this offense. We'll see. This may be a worse take than the 24 year. Every other year we were right. But my 24 season, I was wrong. This may go down that lane. But I don't believe so. Hey, Bob, let me ask you something. Bob, do you believe Jalen Hurts is going to run this new offense? Do you? Just checking. I don't either. There's a slight chance I won't lie, Sills. I believe it depends on how much they go there, right, Abe? Abe, I'm not rooting against them. Don't kid yourself. Covering Jalen Hurts has been a great thing for me. I'm not rooting against him. That's not true. I am not. You've never heard me say bench him or get rid of him. Okay? Abe, you've never heard me say that. My point, 26 will be tougher if it was an outlier season. Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, along with Allen, will be back into the playoffs. I believe a little bit of what Jason Cole said. Okay, so here's Shane. I have confidence that my quarterback will win a Super Bowl next year and get my team to 3 rings. I will always be thankful for Jalen Hurts. He plays his best in the Super Bowl. Both his best games have been in Super Bowls. Okay? Shane, not shitting on you for that. I'm not shitting on you for that take. Absolutely no way. No way would I do that. Okay? Not happening. Seals, I get it. You didn't think he could do it. The only reason that he did do it is because you guys had the greatest running game in the history of pro football, and you guys ran yourself to the Super Bowl. He played great in the NFC title, and he played great in the Super Bowl. Other than that, it was all Barkley. Okay? He was never Jalen Hurts in 24 was not going to lead the team to the Super Bowl. After 4 games, they went with Barkley, not Hurts. Doubting the kid? Dude, that was smoke and mirrors. He was never going to go week to week leading you. He was never going to do that. Barkley was the guy who gained $2,000, 2,700 rushing yards. He got to the NFC title game. He played really. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, in games that matter, there's no doubt. NFC title game. The first NFC title game, he didn't do shit in that against the 49ers. He was great in that Super Bowl that year that you lost. I thought he was okay in the Super Bowl. He was a little better than Sam Darnold. You think Jalen had a great Super Bowl? I don't. I thought he was okay. The Super Bowl 22, he was great. I thought he was great in the Super Bowl. In the 22 Super Bowl, he was great. The 24, I thought he was okay. I thought the defense was better. So has the MVP award always been an individual stat award rather than a team combination award? Isn't the V value to the team overall? Well, here, I think the MVP in my book means the most valuable person to your team. I'll ask you guys this question. Who was the most valuable person to your team in the 2024 Super Bowl? See, you're lying, bro, okay? I'll ask you this, folks. Who was the most valuable person to the 2024 team? Hurts or Barkley? Hurts or Barkley? No. Hurts or Barkley? Who was the most valuable person as a player to the team in 24? Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley? Barkley. Was it Hurts? Hurts played great in the game. And it wasn't great that year like that. 2,900 yards and 18 touchdowns. He wasn't great. Again, a Jalenite. Clearly Hurts, Jalenite. He thought 2,900 yards and 18 touchdowns led that team to the Super Bowl. The fucking stupid take. MVP is the player the team cannot survive without. Hey, Mikey, you think you could have survived 24 without Barkley? Hurts did nothing in that 24 Super Bowl that a mid-level quarterback couldn't do. Rasputin, I completely agree. Now, the 22 game, he was great in. He was great in that game. Can't take that away from him. Can't take the 24 Super Bowl away from him either. That's not what I'm doing here. You could say it's Hurts without Hurts. Saquon would have done it. The threat of Hurts enabled Saquon. Bro, the threat of A.J. Brown being out there, they had no passing game. They were 28th. You're out of your mind, Gabe, if you think that team was led by Jalen Hurts in 24. Jesus criminy. Jeff Stoutland got fired because Barkley couldn't get going in 25. Not because Jalen couldn't get the offense going. He got fired because Barkley couldn't get going. Okay? That's a great call, Mikey. Sills, what are the chances of signing Phillips? 30%. Tennessee's going to make a strong play for him. He's probably going to get $22 million a year from them. Buck would have been MVP easily if this TD wasn't taken by the tush pushes. That's why they never put him in his contract when he came to Philly, too, by the way. A mid-level quarterback is not putting up 300 yards of offense. Let's see here. I saw Sam Darnold put up 300 yards in offense in the NFC title game. He's mid-level. Here, I saw Sam Darnold. I saw Nick Foles. He's mid-level. I saw him put up 500 yards in offense. Sills was literally calling Barkley washed up when we signed him, as everyone else was. And by the way, how'd that one-year wonder work out? Got your Super Bowl. There were people in here like M. Reyes telling me they were going to go back-to-back $2,000. I made a prediction and said he'd never get over 1,400 yards. Shit, he didn't even get over 1,100 yards. See, you're hating on Hurts. He knows how to produce. I'm not hating on anybody. Dude, I look at the game, and if you think that's hate, I don't have an animosity towards one football player. That's not how I talk. If you take it that way, you're like A.J. Brown. You're soft. You're soft. So it's a system we believe that is the team will run because we don't know yet. Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. If they do anything else with the new hires, you let me know why they fired Stoutland then. Okay? Focus on Jalen's weaknesses, footwork, reading. Dude, we're in year 7 now, Bob. Bob, we're in year 7. Hey, Sue, it's because I allow it. If that's your quote going to be, go. I see Patrick Mahomes shit the bed and have his worst games at Super Bowl. Look at his stats. And look who's on Patrick Mahomes' teams. Juju Smith-Schuster. In today's NFL, 300 yards for a quarterback is almost minimum. Yeah, well, Hurts is a coach's kid. I don't care about that shit anymore. I just know the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl next year with a more modern NFL offense built to Jalen's strengths. So, Shane, you think a spread offense is built to Jalen's strengths? All right. Let me get to – we're going to get Howard Balzer at the bottom. Big Z will join us at 4:30. All right. I've got some questions for everyone. We do this all the time. Question marks heading into the offseason. Okay? You're finding excuses for everyone else. Excuses? Like what? How many people in here think that Josh Allen plays on the same talented roster that Jalen Hurts plays on? How many people believe that? I'll show you what he's trying to say. Let excuses. Let's go with facts. Does anybody here believe the Buffalo Bills have the same roster that Jalen Hurts has? Yes or no? Okay. So that's not an excuse. Okay? In the Super Bowl, 300 yards, 3 TDs. It's more than okay. Okay, congratulations to him. Last 2 Super Bowls. Okay. So, Josh Allen doesn't play on a roster that's nowhere near Jalen Hurts. Here's the second one. Who's a better quarterback in the pocket? Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen? Come on, Dan. The man only played 3 quarters. Kibo, see? Here's the Jalenite. He thinks the Buffalo Bills roster is the same talent that the Philadelphia Eagles has. Okay. Josh Allen's a better quarterback in the pocket. Who's a better runner? Josh Allen. Okay? Who's not missed a game in 7 years? Josh Allen. Guy played even with a broken foot in the AFC title game. I mean, they win because of him, not because of that team. And to Prince's point, that's not an excuse. That's facts. It's not an excuse. He's looking for excuses and alibis. Okay? Really? When in the last 3 years did the Buffalo Bills have a better roster than the Philadelphia Eagles? When exactly did they have a bad roster compared to the Eagles? When did Kibo? When did the Bills have a better roster? In the entire Josh Allen era, when have they had a better roster than Philly? When? Can you tell me? Hold on. This is the point we're making. Again, we move on. He got a few. It's because he's an idiot. Don't talk about Silsbo. He's going to crash out worse than Hogan. Twiz, you mean like your Eagle team did against the Niners? Hurts Island is no joke. A lot of Jalen syrup to go around. Boy, I'll tell you. All right. So here's my questions. Heading into the offseason, okay? Hurts, how do you think he meshes with Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard? How do you think that will work with those three guys? I asked you this question last year. I went back and looked at some of the topics. The first question I asked you guys, how do you think Jalen Hurts and Kevin Petula would go? You know what M. Reyes said? I got it written down. Seamless transition. Okay? So I'll give you a shot at it again and ask you the same questions. How do you think Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard, how do you think that meshes? How do you think it goes? Okay? How do you think it goes? Sills, I think it's to be determined. This doesn't seem like this is going to be Nick's prevent offense. Okay. Jalen, he's only because, hey, Mikey, I got it. Here. Seamless transition, redo. Oh, M. Reyes thought that Jalen Hurts and Kevin Petula had a seamless transition. He thought that was a good relationship. M. Reyes liked Kevin Petula as the coordinator. Okay. All depends on AJ Sills. He's the equalizer for the most part. They go away from the RPO, and it's like taking sugar out of the Kool-Aid. Reyes injecting himself with Jalen virus. Okay? Let's go to this one. What are the Eagles going to do with A.J. Brown, and how will they use him in this offense? What will the impact be? What will the impact be? Let me see here. I got to read this other one here that I wrote down. Let's see here. Yeah, here, I got one more. Okay, good. What will the impact be? Seals, is Sal Palantonio possible to get on? I love that guy. We'll try to get him on. We've had him before, I believe. Okay. How will they use A.J. Brown in this new offense? If he stays, how will they use him? Anyone? All right. Here's another one. What is the impact? Instead of Jalen Hurts, what's the impact that Sean Mannion will have on Saquon Barkley? What impact will he have on Barkley? Told Z on a post game, AJ's mentally checked out. Kelsey spoke a while ago. This has been going on since 23. Brought Bryard and Julio in 10-23 to pacify him. I told you this. By the way, they're looking to draft a quarterback at 2 and 3. Kim, pretty good take there. Appreciate you. What do you think that Sean Mannion's impact has on Barkley, if any? More outside runs, I think Mannion will bring in. Put Barkley in space. Tackles are your best in the offensive line right now. He will have Barkley near 2024 Barkley. He'll be an MVP again. And Hurts running more. Well, wait a minute. Then why are you firing? Wait a minute, Shane. Then why are you firing Jeff Stoutland if you're going to run more? Barkley's going to run less, dude. Do you think they're coming in to revamp the run game or the pass game? I don't think you know what you're talking about here, Shane. So you think Barkley's going to get back to 2024? That's 350 carries. And you think Jalen's going to run more? That's 150 carries. You're talking 500 carries. I thought this dude was brought in to change the offense in the pass game. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Dude, Hurts is going to run less. Maybe Jalen will finally throw a check down to Barkley. That would be incredible. He starts throwing checkdowns to Barkley. That's going to open up the passing game. Dude, they have no screen game whatsoever. Like zero. They have 5-yard outs. Boom, boom, boom. That's what they have. They have 5-yard outs. All right. Guys, Big Z's going to join us. That will be at 4:30 Eastern time. I got to tell you, we've been very fortunate over the last 3 days to get some Hall of Fame voters on the programs. I talked to Armando Salguero. Right after the Super Bowl, we talked to Jason Cole. And Jason was talking about the Super Bowl. We're going to go all over this with Howard Balzer here because I'll tell you what, the last couple weeks here, I think unfairly, and I know a lot of folks over at the Hall of Fame. They follow me on Twitter. I've known them all the way back to David Baker. Of course, my uncle's in the Hall of Fame. And I talk to these folks, and I think it's very unfair that these voters, again, are being attacked over the last. Listen, how many times has Howard Balzer and Jason Cole and Armando told you, look, dudes, I got 3 votes. You want me to vote for 3 guys with 3 votes, and I happen to agree with this sentiment. I don't believe owners belong in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, first and foremost. I believe coaches and players do. I'm sorry, I don't. I get contribution. You could put them in a category like you do with the radio and TV guys for like the Roselle Award, I think it's called. But dude, players and coaches supersede everybody, in my opinion. They supersede everyone. I mean, a player or a coach, me, I'm putting the player in. I'm not putting the coach in. As great as Don Shula, as great as Bill Belichick, at the end of the day, I'm going player, dude. I played against Roger Craig. I text Roger Craig. Congratulations, dude. I think it's long overdue. I mean, you're only the third guy off those 49er teams that won 5 Super Bowls. You're only the third guy offensively. It's insane. Those teams dominated. I played against those teams. They were like insane. Their second, that 84 49er team with the backups, that's one of the best football teams I've ever seen. All right. I first and foremost want to get his opinion on the Super Bowl. Then we'll get into that other stuff here in a minute. But one of my favorites, we talk to him all the time. I saw him on with Jason Whitlock, I think, too, a couple weeks ago. I thought maybe last week, which was totally dope. I sent Jason a text that was great. He is our friend. He is a Hall of Fame voter. And he is, again, like we said, always here. We always love him here on the program. Howard Balzer joins us now. How you doing, Howard?
I'm doing well, hanging in. I know you want to maybe get back to some of those things you just said, because I certainly would like to react to that. The one thing I'll say quickly is
let's start there. Well, let's start there then, Howard. We'll get into the game then. I mean, listen, I the one thing that I understand, and I will not go down this lane because there is a bylaw in what you guys cannot say about other voters that were in the room. You guys have this pact or have this agreement or have a bylaw that you can't go. Bill Polian or whomever said this in the room, because that is supposed to be behind closed doors. So I understand that. So I get it. It's been a pretty tough couple weeks, though. No, for the voters. Just let me hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, first, a couple quick comments on what you said is that it was impressive how many times we use the word team when you're talking about great teams. Because in my mind, teams win or lose. And there's many times where maybe a team doesn't have great elite individual players, but they play great as a team. And that to me is what drives winning or losing most of the time. And it always drives me crazy, especially with quarterbacks, where someone will say, well, he won or he lost, as if there's nothing going on between the other 10 guys that are on the field with him when they're on offense, not to mention the 11 guys on defense, right? But and I will say one thing about an owner. I understand what you're saying, and there's a lot of people who agree with that. I don't think there's any – I think it's fine honoring owners who have made tremendous contributions to the NFL, especially when they're not taking the spot of a player or a coach. Now, this year, Robert Kraft might have been, and I think that's where this thing went a little sideways. But how many times, Dan, and I've said this to people who bring that up, how many times have we heard people say, right, whether it's football, whether it's sports, whether it's business, success starts at the top, right? Success starts at the top, and the culture and the environment that is created by the owner. And how many times in the NFL now are we saying, boy, this coach doesn't want to go to the Cardinals. He doesn't want to go to the Raiders.
Fair enough.
Because there's questions the ownership. And so I think that owners who do great things with their teams on the field, and then when it combines with stuff they've done for the league off the field, I think they're more than worthy of being recognized by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But I do say, like I mentioned, it shouldn't be at the expense of a player or a coach, and that's what's been created by this. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, by this new process where with those group of 5 we had to pick 3. And I'll say this. It's interesting to me now, everyone's celebrating Roger Craig. Oh, it's great that if Bill Belichick gets in the Hall of Fame in this class, Roger Craig probably doesn't. If Robert Kraft gets in the Hall of Fame, Roger Craig probably doesn't, just because of the numbers game that there is with voting for only 3 of 5 guys. And so I don't know if the Hall of Fame is going to change anything on this. It's unfortunate. We have taken the brunt of it. There's no doubt about it.
Unfairly.
And I believe that's the case in terms of the decisions that were made. And I think one point I think I made to you the last time we talked was that this whole notion that it's against the rules, or you're not voting for the most deserving guys if you choose a seniors player over a coach or an owner. Well, the Hall of Fame, by increasing to 3 the seniors finalists 3 years ago, in a sense, they were saying they were prioritizing seniors and trying to get more in. And in the first, I'll emphasize this, in the first 2 years of 3 seniors being finalists, 5 of the 6 got in when we were able to vote on each one individually. The only one who didn't was Art Powell. We can agree or disagree whether he should be in, but he didn't get the 80%. Last 2 years, we've had 1 of the 3 seniors get in each year, and none of the coaches are contributors. So you create this 5-person panel, and the numbers have worked out where only in 2 years, 2 of the 10 have been elected. In what universe does that make sense? I don't think there is any. And so that's where we are today. And it's going to be very interesting what happens in the ensuing months in terms of what changes, if any, that the Pro Football Hall of Fame might make.
Howard, tell me if it happened this way, that, again, let's take the word agenda out of it and do this, because you and I have had years of conversations where I bring up a guy like Dennis Harrah. He's got 7, 8 Pro Bowls. You know, he kind of is one of those guys that go through the cracks. You guys get a list. You guys pare it down to 15. You got to pick guys off that 15. Do you think that it just came down because of the process and the less amount of votes? People went like this. Well, I'm going to vote for this guy because, hey, I think, everybody else is probably going to vote for like Bill Belichick. And it just worked out numbers-wise without an agenda. Do you think it went down more that lane where the numbers, and you're just looking, well, here, but you know what? People are going to vote for Belichick. I want Roger Craig, and I'm going to go down here. And without any kind of agenda, the numbers just spoke that way. Did it work out like that? Because I can't see you. There's no freaking way on the planet you're going to go, I hate this guy, so I'm not voting for him. I think if you hated a guy, you'd still vote him in.
Totally. Hey, you know what? And I've used this example, and I saw several columns written in the wake of all the Belichick furor that there was when it got leaked in advance of people saying categorically whoever voted against him because they don't like him. I said, come on. Now, I've never done that. I don't believe the other voters do. You're voting on what you said.
On merit.
On who else is in the group. And the guy I've always used as an example is Warren Sapp. I mean, nobody liked Warren Sapp. Nobody did. And yet as a first eligible player, he got into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on merits.
Hey, Howard, watch this. This is he's a hurricane, but okay. So please continue. People create these, not agendas, but they create these narratives to somehow explain why this happened when they can't just look like I said, at the numbers. And it's what the numbers. I don't know what the result would have been if we were voting individually on each guy like we had for decades and decades. But I would, and I can't guarantee anything, but I know more than one of the 5 would have got in. And there might have been another senior, who knows? All 5 might have got in. But the point being is that only one did. And that's a product of the vote, because there's only so many votes to go around. I mean, and we don't even, you know what, Dan? We don't even know if Roger Craig actually got 40. We don't know if he actually got 80%, because they have one thing that's led to this, the Dion factor of the elite and then a whole bunch of other guys that get in. One thing that's led to that, and this goes back to the inception of the Hall of Fame, I believe, is they've had minimums that get in, right? You've had minimum, and that, right, the way it is now is 1 from the group of 5 and 3 from the modern day guys.
prior to that, I believe was 4 for the modern day guys was the minimum that had to get in with the modern day group. Well, if you have minimums, guess what? They're all not going to be the elite of the elite. And so then you start getting into other great players who are, I believe, are deserving. But once that happens, then you're creating a Hall of Fame that can't be only of the elite. And you know what's funny about it? I talked about the Dion factor. I don't know if you saw this clip from a podcast he did over the weekend, and he was still ranting about, we should have a separate room for the elite bust, and all that. And there's guys who have gotten in that, shouldn't have, and there's guys who should be in that I don't believe are. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what elite guys haven't got in that he thinks should be? Well, the guy was co-hosting with him and said, well, who are some guys you think should be in? And he named Darren Woodson, Asante Samuel, and Fred Taylor. Now, we can say that, hey, those, Fred Taylor's been a finalist. Asante Samuel hasn't. Darren Woodson's been a finalist, but they're not the elite of the elite. And so Dion, in those 3 names, proved that everything he said is a bunch of BS, right? And it also shows how dangerous it would be that some have suggested writers shouldn't vote. You should have players. You have Hall of Famers. You should have, well, they're more biased than players in terms of, than writers and media in terms of who gets elected. And that proves it from Deion Sanders himself when he mentioned those 3 names. And again, I'm not saying those 3 guys aren't deserving, but they don't fit Deion's profile.
Samuel's not a Pro Football Hall
Even
of
close.
Famer.
Even
He
close.
is a really good football player, but yeah, the comment that Randy Moss made, he said that writers should not be, and Jason was really upset with that when I brought that question to him. So I want to hear your take. He said that was just ridiculous, and I happen to agree with you guys. I don't believe that players. Now, you guys have Tony Dungy, and I think Dan Fouts is also in there as well. I don't believe that. I think because I'd be voting for Hurricanes. I'm sorry. I'd be voting for Reggie Wayne. I'd be looking for Frank Gore. I'm not going to hide my bias, nor can other guys hide their bias. Right. Former teammates that you think are great. Hell, I might even be doing Paul Gruber. Something like that. Who shouldn't be in, but because I love Paul Gruber so much, he was a really good player. But is that guy Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. How do you take that? How do you take that conversation by Randy Moss saying you guys shouldn't be voting?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's thrown out there because everybody wants to come up with, we got to find a better way of doing this. And now Jim Porter's coming out and said something about maybe lowering the number of finalists, which I don't know. Then you're going to make it even harder to get in, lowering the number of voters, having more quote historians. Well, there's a lot of historians on there. I've been covering football for half a century, and there's other guys like me on that panel with John McClain and Dan Pompei and other guys and Bill Polian. You have historians on there. And so you have those people. I've always wished, and we can't do this. I understand that it would be great to be able to televise the discussion that we have for 8 to 9 hours.
I would love that.
Only for the fact of people would say, that's what goes on there. It's not just these guys spitting out their own opinions, because what we all do, especially those of us who are going to talk in the meeting, and especially those of us who present a player. I've presented Torrey Holt now, all, full transparency.
Now, I did hear, Howard, it was Zoom, so I want to be fair there.
But we're still talking to each other.
Yep.
But I've presented Torrey Holt now 7 times. Right. But it's not just me for 5 minutes spewing his stats. And I bring them all up and you bring those things up. But I talk to other people. I talk to Hall of Famers. I talk to guys who played against him. Obviously, teammates. Everyone expects teammates to speak highly. But I talk to other guys. And we all do that. We talk to coaches. I had Ty Law talking about Torrey Holt. I had Mike Holmgren talking about what it was like to coach against Torrey Holt. We all do that. We just don't get up there and just talk off the top of our head. We prepare for this, especially when you're presenting someone, from the market that you worked in. And that's what goes on this entire meeting. There's tons of, in fact, I sent out before the meeting almost 3 pages of testimonials from different people and opponents and all that about Torrey Holt, because you just can't talk about it all in that meeting. And we get a lot of those communications for the weeks prior to the meeting that we have. And people don't realize that. They just have their own vision of what's going on here. And personally, I think, Dan, a little bit, a lot of fans of the general disdain there is for the media now, which is obviously out there in a lot of levels of our society. The general disdain for the media, almost the whole Belichick thing, just open the doors to that so everybody can say what morons we are and how pathetic. And Dave Portnoy going on some podcast and saying that anybody who didn't vote for Bill Belichick should be executed. I mean, it's just the stuff that gets said. That stuff is a lot crazier, believe me, and more off the wall than anything that we talk about in the meeting, because we all take this so seriously and the time we devote to it. And a lot of people don't realize that. That's why I love to preach it and talk about it, because I think then people understand. Do you think a Hall of Famer or a player talking about a guy and voting is going to spend the time that we do on putting our discussions together? No. Not a chance. No. Not a chance. And so that's when stuff like that gets said. Are you aggravated, Howard? Overall, yeah. Because do you think your integrity has been attacked a little bit in the way in how you go about the process? And do you think that the group of 50 men and women, do you believe that their integrity has been attacked, and that's the biggest problem you have? That's one of the biggest problems, absolutely. And there's always that talk back after an election. Oh, how come this guy didn't get in? And a lot of it comes from the city where the player is. How could you overlook this guy? Hey, there's no perfect process. There's no perfect vote, but everyone votes their belief, because we all know how important this is for these people who are going to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But to a certain level, it has been. And then when it gets out there, we didn't vote for the most deserving guys. If you voted for a senior player instead of Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft, then you didn't vote for the most deserving guys. Well, who's to decide who's the most deserving, right? I mean, in a sense, we decide. In your own mind, you decide in that year who you feel is the most deserving. No one had to pick. Last year, Eric Allen went in his 18th year of eligibility. Guy who probably should have went in earlier, right? But a big part of the reason why he got voted in is because he's nearing the end of his modern day eligibility. And if he falls into that senior's abyss, who knows when he'll be considered again. And so that's definitely on people's mind. Was Eric Allen clearly more deserving than some of the other guys who didn't get in last year? Some would argue probably not. But in that class, at that moment in time, there were enough people who felt he was the most deserving that ended up getting him elected. And to challenge that, yeah, you can disagree. I get that. And that's part of the process. We all understand that. But when stuff gets thrown out there about, oh, we're morons, we're pathetic, we're stupid, it's just but that's the social media world, obviously, that we live in. And then people go, oh, but we got to make this process better. I agree in a lot of respects. It has to be made better. One of my points is funny about that whole reduce the number of finalists. I think they should add to the finalists. Yeah. Because it's hard to get into that 15 because of the guys that return. We've got 11 finalists returning next year. And then you got Adrian Peterson and Rob Gronkowski and Ben Roethlisberger as first-time eligibles. They're going to take some spots away. So it's very hard for anyone else who hasn't been in the 15 to get in there because of just the absolute numbers of it. So I said, make it 18. I don't know what the number is. Have it 18 finalists. And so then you get more guys that are being discussed and talked about. And some people say, well, why do you have to have this meeting? Well, most other baseball, you're voting basically on numbers, impact, and all those things. But it's pretty equal among all players. Football, we've got, first of all, a ton more players to consider. Plus, you've got guards, and you've got defensive tackles, and you've got safeties, and you've got inside linebackers where there's not a lot of numbers attached to those guys. So that's a big reason why there's the discussion was created, because all players aren't created equal in football because of all the positions and the differences that there are there. My biggest problem with everything that happened with you guys was that it overshadowed the class. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald,
phenomenal. I mean, seeing Luke Kuechly go in, great. Roger Craig, as we mentioned, Adam Vinatieri, and obviously Drew Brees going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All great guys. Do you think it overshadowed a little bit those guys' class? Because when they go to Canton this summer, I mean, the conversation that's going to be surrounding that is going to be Belichick and Kraft. I mean, that's going to be the overlying story.
Well, I hope it's not. I see that could be a bit, but I think by then those guys will be celebrated that are going in. And I brought up the point of Roger Craig. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm so glad he got in," not even thinking to that next step that if Belichick or some of these other guys, he wouldn't be in, and he'd be waiting even longer and maybe forever and maybe never get in. And so
Lombardi wasn't a first ballot.
Well, that's right. Bill Walsh wasn't. I mean, there's been other people who weren't. And that brings me to another point. We've talked about it in the room to a degree, recency bias. And there's this push to getting guys in there. And I don't have any problem with Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald. No. Right? But what ends up, Adam Vinatieri and Luke Kuechly, great players, are they more deserving than Willie Anderson, one of the great right tackles of all time, who wasn't considered a lot in the beginning because he was a right tackle, and it was like only left tackles got recognized? Are they more deserving than Torrey Holt, who has had 12 years of eligibility? Darren Woodson, who's been eligible, he was a finalist, 18 years of eligibility. Are those second-year guys clearly more deserving than those guys? I don't know. I think you could have fair questions about that. And so here's what's happened. You've gotten a group. There's plenty of us OGs, if you will, but there's also the room has gotten a little bit younger over time. And so people remember what Larry Fitzgerald and Drew Brees and Kuechly and Vinatieri did when they just played 6 or 7 seasons ago, right? Torrey Holt's last year was 2009, right? Willie Anderson was before that. Darren Woodson was before that. How many people remember those guys? And yet here's the thing. Of the 15 finalists, I don't know if I mentioned this the last time, of the 15 finalists, 9 were first or second year eligible players, leaving 6 that weren't, right? And those 6 totaled 60 years of eligibility in the Hall of Fame. The 9 others totaled 14, right? The top 10, the initial reduction to 10, 8 of the 10 were first or second year eligible guys. And then in the vote to 7, 6 of the 7. Willie Anderson was the only one of the 7 that was not a first or a second year eligible guy. And we know that all 4 that got in were first or second year. If this trend continues, and it's even harder now because if this process continues of the way the vote goes, those guys who have been waiting, it's just going to get harder and harder to get those guys elected unless sometime they near 18, 19, 20 years and someone says, oh gosh, we don't want these guys going into the seniors. And so, but now, now there's this whole thing that the Hall of Fame is even saying that you have to vote for the most deserving guys, and the guys could lose their vote if they didn't. Well, I don't know if that's fair. So there's a lot of things. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the ensuing months.
You just made a comment about Willie Anderson being a right tackle. And for folks in Philly, we're based there. You think that hurts a guy like Lane Johnson? And I just brought up his numbers here. And by the way, I want people to know there's like left tackles. That's the premier position in the offensive line. Then I would probably, centers are important, but they're probably the least of the offensive line that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Left guard, but right tackle, Lane Johnson has right now, and again, I know that you're going to look at him down the line. He's got 6 Pro Bowls and 2 Super Bowls, but he played right tackle. As a voter, do you think that people look at the right tackle position and go, well, it's not as good as the left tackles? And does that play a factor in your evaluating? Because you worked with Paul Zimmerman. Paul Zimmerman used to tell me all the time, right tackle is the failure of the left tackle. So he used to, now maybe that's changed a little bit because the offenses have changed and they moved the pass rushers around, because in LT's day, they rushed off the right side and the left tackle would have that guy.
Yeah.
That may have changed. Has that changed a little bit enough? Or do you think right tackle still struggle getting in?
It's a great question, but I think because of this emphasis that there's been with Willie, he's been he's made it to the final 7 now 2 years in a row. So it's become, at least it's been talked about, that he got hurt and maybe in the beginning because he was a right tackle and he didn't have the accolades of a left tackle, and he wasn't on great teams for a lot of his career. And so I think that's changing. The game has changed, like you said, with pass rush. And it's been 10 to 20 years at least where a lot of these teams have both guys coming off the edge. And sometimes your guy rushing from the left side is just as good as the guy on the right side. And you're right, it didn't used to be that way. So I think that has been changing. I think Lane Johnson will be very much recognized. And to me, the thing about Lane Johnson, I don't have the numbers, but you look at the Eagles' success in winning or losing when he has been on the field and the games that he's missed because of injury, it is considerable, the difference there with Lane Johnson. So, yeah, he will be discussed. I think that is thawing, I think, as we've all realized that they deserve just as much recognition when you play at that high level. And the other part about it, too, is that in the past, the all-pro teams, they wouldn't specify left tackle or right tackle when you got voted for all-pro. The voters just voted for tackles. And so most of the time the left tackles would get voted. Well, now you have to vote for a right tackle. And then all of a sudden those guys get elevated a little bit and get more recognized.
Absolutely. I got to go to the game. Would you make it a Super Bowl? And listen, I've asked this question to all the Hall of Fame voters, and I'll ask you the question. I'm sorry, but Howard, I'm not impressed with Seattle. I am impressed with their defense. I think, again, I think their defense at every level. Is it a Legion of Boom? No. Are they good? Absolutely. I just don't think that's like, if you looked at the last 20 years, maybe the Giant second Super Bowl team with Eli Manning, you put in that conversation, like the Eagle team of a year ago would have crushed that team, or the Patriot team, or even that Bucks team in 2020. Am I off base when I say that about this Seattle team? I mean, a lot of things went right for Seattle. Knicks probably gets into the Super Bowl with the Broncos if Knicks doesn't get hurt in that AFC divisional game. Am I off base on the Seattle team?
I don't, maybe a tad. I think they are really good. I think that certainly they had the number for New England's defense, and they were able to capitalize on some offensive line issues there. No, I'm not going to put Seattle in the class. The Ravens from 2000. Obviously some of those Steelers defenses. I think part of it is because a lot of those guys aren't known that much, right? And it's not like they have the guys that jump off the page. But, man, I'll tell you, that Leonard Williams and those, they're just relentless. They come after you. I will say this, though. I think I'll pivot a little bit on this in terms of, I think it's been, and I'll be curious your take, too, as a former player. What bothers me a lot generally in football is this notion that you can be injured and then miss X number of games, not practice, come back, and then when you go back on the field, whether you're, quote, healthy is one thing, but to be able to, everyone, like, there's so many who would just assume you're going to play at the same level you were at before you were injured. That to me is totally unrealistic. It's like the robot, narrative that people think these guys are machines.
Howard, they see the name on the back of the jersey and they assume you're a Superman and you're human too. And when you're injured like Drake May, and he had a great year and he had shoulder injuries in those 2 games, look at the defenses that he played.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs. I mean, look at him. He played against the Texans. He played against the Chargers. He played against the Seahawks. These were all in the top 5. And he got banged up in every single one of those games. I mean, to assume that you're going to be healthy playing and not to make injuries, because I don't like to make injuries as an excuse, but part of the game is that injuries are part of that. You're not going to be playing at a full tilt every single week. That's an unrealistic thinking.
The guy I was going to bring up is Will Campbell, the left tackle, who played the first 12 games of the season, a rookie, remember, and then tore a ligament in his knee in week 12, right? Missed 4 games, came back to practice and had 2 or 3 days of practice before their final game of the regular season, which he did play in. And then he goes up against, in order, the Chargers, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Seahawks. And he has a rough outing, and all of a sudden everybody's going after him and criticizing him for all the pressures, but no one mentions the fact that he missed a month with a knee injury. And yeah, you might be healthy, but that's not the same as competing at the highest level. And so, that's what they had to deal with. And some would say, well, why'd he play? Well, he's better than anybody else who would have played in that game. But the Drake May criticism, you'll love this one because you mentioned the Legion of Doom. 2013 season, right? 2014 Super Bowl. Seattle, 43, Denver, 8. Peyton Manning, 73.5 passer rating, right, in the game. At halftime, when they were losing 22-0, he had a passer rating of 46.3, 104 passing yards at halftime on 17 completions with 2 interceptions. And this is Peyton Manning. That was his MVP season. 55 touchdown passes, over 5,700 passing yards.
May played better in this Super Bowl than Manning did in that one.
Well, he did in the fourth quarter. I mean, through 3 quarters, that whole offense was throttled. And that's what it was for Denver. They were just throttled by that defense in that game. And that was with Peyton Manning at quarterback. So people going after Drake May in his second season, and he had to go against those really good teams. I mean, that's just pretty crazy. But the Seahawks were just really that much better than New England, and it showed in that game. So, but I think everyone expected, Dan, going in, it was going to be a defensive battle. And Darnold, had some plays here and there that were pretty good, but he didn't make mistakes. The Seahawks didn't have a turnover. They didn't have a turnover in the postseason. Three postseason games, the Seahawks didn't have a turnover. And so when you play that, and you have your defense that can just shut down people, then that's a recipe for victory. And that's what they did.
You tell me, a couple more questions here for you, Howard. Has it changed? Has Sam Darnold, and I've been trying to tell the people in Philly this, we had Adam Kaplan on yesterday, and I asked him about Jalen Hurts, and I go, do you think the guy's elite? He goes, no, he's a really good player.
Right.
So I look at Sam Darnold, and I go, Sam Darnold's a really good player. Do you think that narrative now changed? Why would I spend $50 million on a quarterback, Howard, when I could spend $33 million, build my roster up, have an efficient quarterback who knows what to do in the pocket, have talented coordinators, have good coaches around him like Seattle has done. John Schneider is an amazing general manager. They put good people around. Why would I spend $60 million on Dak Prescott when I could spend $33 million on a Mac Jones who's sitting there backing up Brock Purdy and spread some of that money around? Why would I spend the money? Do you think that's kind of changed? Because it's 2 years in a row. Hurts and Sam Darnold, these guys are good players. They're not exceptional like the elite guys that we see in Baltimore, we see in Buffalo. Do you think that will change?
It's a great question. And I think what ends up happening, if you can have a perfect world, that would be the way to go. But it's not easy to have all of those supporting pieces and to be good enough, and especially on defense. And someone might say, well, what does defense have to do with offense? Well, we don't talk about complementary football enough. One of the reasons the Seahawks Sam Darnold didn't have an interception is that you can play smart and you don't get into those forced, situations where you have to force the ball because it's, there's no crime in punting if you have to, because we'll get the ball back because the defense is so good. And to build that type of roster, and then the other part of it, to stay healthy is really hard to do. But I think so then when these teams, they get the quarterback that they have, and now they've been there 5 years, and now however many, and now it's time for that second contract. And you say to yourself, well, are we going to pay this guy the market rate, or are we just going to move on and hope that we can find somebody just as good or better that can then play winning football with the roster we have and the team that we have? I mean, Seattle was, I believe the number, I think they had at the end of as the season just ended, they only had 6 guys on injured reserve at the end of the season.
Wow.
Right? The Rams had 3. The Patriots didn't have, very many. And so the thing I always hate is when you point out how a team has just been decimated by injuries and people say, oh, that's just an excuse. Well, no, it's a part of it. It's a part of it. And you start losing a lot of your top players, then it's almost impossible to win on a consistent basis because the NFL is so hard and so competitive. So I guess you could argue it's a trap that teams fall into when they have that quarterback. They don't want to take a chance on someone else. And yeah, John, they took a little bit of chance on Sam Darnold because at the end of last season, he played very well. At the end of last season, he wasn't that good in those 2 games that they lost, one for the division and then one in the playoffs. So they rolled the dice on Sam Darnold, but they did have obviously the supporting cast that enabled him to be successful. But it's not. And the Eagles, another example. Howie Roseman is always concentrated on those the offensive and defensive line. And when you look at the Seahawks, no one talks about I just talked about their defense and Leonard Williams and those guys on the line. But look at that offensive line they have. Not household names.
Yeah.
They were starting a rookie. Was it Gray Zabel, right? And Howard Cross. I'm trying to remember Charles Cross. I forget his first name. But they have Cross on the offensive line at tackle. Lucas at tackle. They don't have household names on that offensive line, but they don't miss games. And when your offensive line has that continuity and can then just do what you have to do on offense, then you can do the things that you'd like to be able to do and be consistent with it.
Final question for you. What type of changes do you think you're going to see with the Hall of Fame? Do you think that they're going to – they seem to have you guys in their crosshairs, and I think it's unjust. I think it's the Hall of Fame's process. That's me speaking. That's not any of you guys speaking. I say that to everybody, and I've said that to all the 5 guys that I've spoken to on my shows. So I'll ask you, will there be changes made? And will you be disappointed that they would have a knee-jerk reaction? Are you disappointed that they are in this lane right now where they may have a knee-jerk reaction?
That's a concern, and you hope that common sense, rules out. Many of us believe there was a knee-jerk reaction with this change that came about because of.
By the way, Howard, you and Jason and Armando and Jared Bell have been telling me this for over a year about this process, that eventually it's going to bite the Hall of Fame.
Right. And it
did.
And it did. And there seems to have been a knee-jerk reaction to some things that people were saying, Dion and others. And at the Hall of Fame weekend in 2024, I guess, going into the class of 2025, and 2 weeks after the Hall of Fame weekend, 2 or 3 weeks at most, all of a sudden these new changes came about. And so it seemed that was the case. You have to take a reasoned approach, I believe, step back, look at it honestly, and say, how can we avoid this? And, the whole thing of putting in the elite of the elite and that classes had gotten too big. Well, there was a time when when they went to 3 seniors, the points were made that we're okay with a larger class. And all of a sudden, a couple of years later, well, we're not okay with a larger class. Well, the putting only the elite of the elite in, that went out the door decades ago. And so how do you change that now? Because then you'll have guys not getting in now who you can make the argument are better than guys who got in the past. Because if you only put in the elite of the elite, well, maybe you'll get 1 or 2 of those guys each year. That's it.
Each year, maybe every other year.
Maybe other year. We've had years with the Baseball Hall of Fame where they didn't have any modern day guys, get elected. So some of us have suggested going to 75% on the vote, maybe raising the minimums to 1 and 3 from those 2 groups to 2 and 4. Go back to the up or down. Of course, if you went back to the up or down, you'd have some of those larger classes. But, it's a celebration every weekend. Or not every weekend. It's a celebration in August in Canton. And you had, like I said, you had a time where there wasn't a concern about larger classes. And now maybe apparently there are. So we'll see. Well, I can't predict what the changes will be. I think there will be some. And it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what they are.
I don't want you to comment on this, but I had a problem with the Hall of Fame when the whole blue ribbon thing came out, where that thing came out of nowhere and there were people parachuting in. Paul Tagler blew in. I mean, I know that economically the NFL expanded, but as a former player, I got to tell you, that ain't a guy that is somebody that I'm very positive with. When a guy was putting hairdressers in there for CTE. And I don't want you to comment on that, but I'm just saying that blue ribbon always got me wrong, and it put you guys in a bad spot. So I do want to ask you this. Go ahead. If you want to comment.
That was the centennial class, and Paul Tagliabue had been not gotten enough votes on several occasions when he was up for it within the selection committee. And then he got in after that. And he did a lot of good things. Don't get me wrong. But the thing with it is, part of what they created that for was to recognize a lot of the pre-1960 guys, right, who had been, overlooked when, back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. Yeah. And they did put in some of those guys as part of the expanded seniors class, but it wasn't as many as some people had hoped. And so now we're still talking about some of those guys when we have the seniors meetings, that come down. What I wouldn't mind seeing also, Dan, is the way baseball does it with those era committees.
Yeah.
Right. For the seniors, and maybe do that with the coach and the contributor, possibly, is, a guy like Clark Shaughnessy, for example, who had incredible contributions to the sport and changed the way offense was played. And in baseball, they have those committees.
Yeah.
And they have 16 people on it. They consider a bunch of guys. They vote for whoever they vote for, have to get 75%, and they're in. It doesn't go to the full list of selectors. Maybe that's something to consider, so that because sometimes those who are on those committees think sometimes that the whole committee really doesn't respect the work that has been done of who is put forward into those finalist groups, and how much work there was with that, deciding who are the three finalists and the seniors are, or whatever. And then it goes to the full committee to vote. But there's no doubt, though, that no matter what they do, with smaller classes, smaller, fewer voters, less finalists, whatever it is, if you keep the process with this vote for only a few guys from the finalist group, then that's going to keep the numbers down. And by the end of a 5-year period, you might have 8 to 10 modern day guys that would have gotten in the past who won't be in, and will start moving into the seniors category. That will become even harder. But as I said, 2 years, 2 seniors out of 6 got in, and nobody was upset those two years when 5 of the 6 got in. And then all of a sudden, now we have, the way it is. So there's a lot of room there for tweaks or changes. And, I think the main thing is go back to the up or down vote. And that would be a big change, at least for the group of 5, So they're not competing, at least with the modern day guys, they're all in that same group. They have different years they've been around, but at least they're the same, they're in the same group of players. The others, you have 3 seniors, a coach, a contributor. I don't think that those guys should be competing for votes against each other. So at least change it for that group. But, again, we'll see. We'll see what Hall of Fame decides.
There's a question from a person here that wants to ask you this regarding the Hall of Fame. A player, say like Randall Cunningham, who changed the way the game was played and the way the quarterback position was played during his time. Like, I'd make this comment that Randall Cunningham was probably Patrick Mahomes before Patrick Mahomes in the style that he played. When you're considering a Hall of Fame guy, like somebody like maybe like a Randall, does that play into how you guys did this guy? What was his impact in the game? Like Deion playing corner, Lawrence Taylor playing edge, like that kind of stuff. Does guys changing the position, like Ed Reed playing the safety position? Safeties don't traditionally get into the Hall of Fame. Do those kind of conversations come up too? What kind of impact did he have in the game?
Well, yeah, no, the impact is definitely discussed. With a guy like Randall, I mean, he, when you look at his full body of work, he did have impact and did do things. And there's something that a lot of people say a lot of times, Dan, well, can you write the history of the NFL without that guy? to me, that's kind of a cliche. That what does that mean? There's a lot of guys that you can't write the history of the game without, but it doesn't mean that they deserve a bust in Canton. And there's other things that go into it. You can have an impact, but then it also means what did you accomplish? What were your individual numbers? What I think the team shouldn't be looked at as much as some do, but that becomes part of the discussion. And so impact is one of those things that I'm not going to say it's hard to define, but it's hard to define within a context of should a guy be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. And so that's, that becomes part of it. When you start matching up his career numbers with, and you mentioned Mahomes, I don't know that, he was a good passer. I don't know that he was ever as accurate a passer as Patrick Mahomes. And so I think along those lines, man, if you started to just put, he had an impact. I'm trying to think of other guys who might have had an impact with, with the way they did things. But it becomes hard to justify in some cases who was a true Hall of Famer. But like I said, there's no one way of looking at it. There is objective parts to it, but there's also very subjective. And you're dealing with people who all have opinions, and whoever's voting, that's always going to be the thing that that decides it.
Do you think Jalen Hurts is trending that way?
In terms of impact? No, I think you said it earlier. He's a very good player. We'll see how long his career ends. I don't know that he's going to have those.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer right now.
No, he probably isn't. But does he become one? I mean, a lot of the success that he has had and the team has had is with, his running ability. And, that's been a big contributing factor. But to say that he's, I shouldn't say elite of the elite, because we again, I'll go back to that other thing we were discussing. Once you're putting in guys who aren't the elite of the elite, how do you differentiate? How do you separate? And that's what happens a lot of years when you get 2 or 3 wide receivers that are finalists, 4 or 5 offensive linemen that are finalists. And how do you separate and decide who's more deserving, from that group? And it becomes difficult. Luke Kuechly goes in, this year, very, very short career. Normally guys with those short careers, they'll get in eventually, but not that quickly. But he did, he did. And so all power to him. And that's, there's so many things that go into the individual determinations, that we all make. And I'm not for a second saying we're all perfect, by any means. If we had 50 different people in there voting, the results might have been, who knows, might have been somewhat different. But, you go with what you have. But I don't know that there's 50 people that would do the job as diligently as, as we all do on a year-round basis.
I absolutely agree. Howard, I believe you guys have done the best you possibly can with the circumstances surrounding it. And it's not an excuse. Listen, I've known you for over 25 years, and I've known all these voters for over 25 years. I get people asking me all the time. I won't tell you which Hall of Fame voters, but they go, who would you vote for? And I get these text messages, and I put my thoughts down, and it's about 15 of you guys. I get people asking me. And they don't take my word. They have like a pool of guys that they ask, and then they'll do their own due diligence, obviously. But I mean, I know the work that you guys put into it. It's a lot of work, and I appreciate you guarding the NFL. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you.
Appreciate your appreciation.
Thank you very much. Howard Balzer, one of the 50 Hall of Fame voters. And I totally tell you guys, these guys put their heart and soul into this. Okay? They do. They do absolutely put their heart and soul into this thing. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. We appreciate it. Big Z is going to join us here in a couple of minutes. Let's see here. Thank you very much. Fantastic interview. Sil's probably the best journalism I've seen you do this year. Listen, one of the coolest things that we get to do is talk to all these guys. And we get the chance to talk to all these Hall of Fame guys. And what they do is, look, it's funny, I was talking to 2 of them last night, and they were telling me how much heat that they're getting, especially a guy like Jared Bell. Jared Bell was talking about he believes that there's going to be a bigger process coming up. All right, so we're going to get back into the Eagle Talk here. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. I want to go back to some of the things that we said, but real quick, I want to say this one more thing about Howard. Last night, when I texted him to come on the program, he's like, what are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about the Hall of Fame? And I said, yeah. Why else would I get you on? I want to know what happened. I thought it was interesting what he said also. Right now, Jalen Hurts is not a Hall of Fame player. Now, look, it's 7 years, going into 7 years into his career. He's not a Hall of Famer right now. How many people do we have to get on? There's been at least 3 voters say, not yet, not yet. Not yet. And this guy's been to 2 Super Bowls. Not yet. And nobody thinks the guy's elite. Now, again, you don't have to be elite to win Super Bowls. That's been my story to you guys. And by the way, for the record, I'm never telling you, Jalen, look, I may kid with you guys and go, he's a stiff. He's not. He's not a stiff. Sills. Hey, Sills, F you. We love your work. Thank you, Denny. I get it. Yeah. Thank you, Denny. They should vote, but it should be less. 30% reporters, 35% players, 30% coaches, fans get a chance to vote. Getting fans' thoughts? Sales, nothing personal. I would have put Elsie Greenwood in over Craig. That was a tough one for me. Hey, Denny, I get you, bro. We're good. I loved Elsie Greenwood. I'm with you. Elsie Greenwood, 6 Pro Bowls, 4 rings. He was on the steel curtain. I get it. He's not a stiff. He's not a good quarterback either. Shady, I disagree. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. He's a good player. He's not an elite guy. But how about this? Is this fair? Jalen Hurts is not elite, but he does elite things at times. There's a lot of guys who are elite that don't do elite things. I think Lamar Jackson is an elite football player. But in elite moments, he doesn't do all the elite things. Hurts not an elite player, but he'll do an elite thing in a game. And I think that's the difference between Jalen and Lamar. Lamar's elite all the time. But when it matters, sometimes he's not an elite guy, and he doesn't do an elite thing. Jalen will do an elite thing in a game. He'll pick up 15, 20 yards. He'll make a throw. He's not going to be ever consistent at doing it. But he does do things in the moment that Lamar hasn't yet. I will totally give him that. Now, wait, he's earned that. You don't give players anything. They earn it. Like, hey, you give him the title of Super Bowl. No, he earned it. Players earn it. Okay? Just going to enjoy the highs and lows of Hurts. He's a good, great quarterback, not elite. I'm fine with that. Just want national media to keep the narrative about Jalen equal to other quarterbacks. Yeah, but my friend, it's hard to keep that narrative equal when the teams aren't equal and the organizations aren't equal. How many organizations do you guys feel are in the same conversation with the Eagles? How many people do you think, how many teams in the NFL do you think organizationally are as good as the Philadelphia Eagles? How many people do you think? 5? 6? Sills, where can your other show on the weekend be found, Sills, please? That is Sports Grid. I'm on noon to 2 on Saturday and Sunday. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Somebody told me that you guys sent that, so thank you. I appreciate that. Sills, the problem is there's a few assholes on the panel that have influence. Yes. And I think they're going to try to change those guys out, in my opinion. Paul, what if Hurts makes it back to win? How about this, Paul? Let me ask you something. Paul, if Troy Aikman had won 2 Super Bowls, do you think Troy Aikman would have made the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I don't. I don't. I don't think Aikman was an elite quarterback. I don't believe. I saw that Rodney Harrison went after Tony Dungy on the broadcast. I don't believe that Aikman gets to the Hall of Fame if he doesn't have 3 rings. Okay? I don't. Hurts is elite when he needs to be, plain and simple. He would never win a Super Bowl with anyone else besides Mahomes. He would never win a Super Bowl with anyone else besides Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowls with far less talent than Jalen Hurts ever has had. The one year he had Tyreek Hill, other than that, Sills, would you consider Josh Allen elite? Yes. Exceptional. Generational. Dan Marino's generational. Here are the quarterbacks that I think are generational. Here are the great. Here's my list. Quarterbacks. Here. Do I think Tom Brady is an elite talent? No, I don't. Do I think Tom Brady has elite processing? Yes. Does he play the position better than anybody else cerebrally? Yes. Is he as gifted as Aaron Rodgers? Not in the same. Is he as gifted as Lamar? Not in the same. That's a different conversation. That's why I keep bringing up all the time Hurts' resume. It's like a smaller version of Brady's. Here, exceptional. Drew Brees, is he exceptional? He's a great passer. He does a lot of great things right. If I had to win a 60-minute football game, would Drew Brees be the guy? No. When I could pick from the Peyton Manning is elite. Is Brett Favre an elite player? Absolutely. Rodgers, yes. Stafford, yes. Is Roethlisberger? Roethlisberger is going to be considered a Hall of Fame candidate. Does anybody in here look at Ben Roethlisberger and go, that guy was an elite ball player? Phillip Rivers was better. I mean, Phillip Rivers is a better ball player. I think Ben Roethlisberger was a product of the Steelers. Then I get your quarterback. It sounds good until you win a Super Bowl with a guy like Sam Darnold. Now he's asking for $50 million a year. Keep switching? Wait, no. He won the Super Bowl making 30. You're switching. I'm not. Sam Darnold's not a $50 million a year guy, but the league will pay it. You won with a $33 million quarterback. Ain't no switching. You're going to overpay for Sam Darnold. And they're going to overpay for Sam Darnold. You could win a Super Bowl with a $30 million quarterback. You just did. Now you're going to pay the guy 50? He ain't a $50 million guy. You're going to overpay him. I mean, you're overpaying. That's what the league does. Look at all the quarterbacks that they've overpaid making 50. Love, Trevor Lawrence. Now you get Sam Darnold. And now he's added to the mix. The only thing that makes his thing look better. How about this? How many people think Sam Darnold's going to win a Super Bowl making $50 million a year? Does anybody believe Sam Darnold goes back and wins another one, making more money than he made right now? Keep switching? How about this, Ramir? Do you believe that Darnold goes back and wins one making 50? I don't. By the way, Joey Porter said that Ben Roethlisberger is a creep and a horrible teammate. Not a pretty good endorsement. I mean, Seattle's going to overpay. Okay? He earned it. Sure. He's going to get a pay raise. All right. But again, for what? Seattle should go get Mac Jones. I could do it again with him. I completely agree. Overpaying quarterbacks is one of the worst things organizations do. Jalen Hurts earned his money. He's never missed the playoffs. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's got an MVP in one of them. I have no problems with the $250 million contract he has. Trevor Lawrence and the rest of these guys, fucking no way. The Kyler Murray deal was stupid. 9 out of 10 of these deals, 8 out of 10 of these deals will not pan out. Okay? That's my point. You're going to overpay regardless because he's going to be asking for more money for winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, but my point, Ramir, is this. You don't have to. Do you guys agree with this? I think one of the reasons that people pay a lot of money for these quarterbacks, do you agree with me? It costs more money to build a team like Howie does than to pay. You know Hurts is the 11th or 12th highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now? In a year and a half, he was the number 1 highest paid player. Now he's 12th or 11th, something like that. It costs more money to do what Howie does than it does to build and go, I'm going to give the quarterback all the money, and I'm going to build a shit roster like Buffalo. Right? Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFL. Only Hurts is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Jalen, and nor is Sam Darnold. As a matter of fact, those are 2 good players. It's not hate. It's reality. You don't like to hear your guys average. Aikman should get to the Hall of Fame as a broadcaster. Yeah, probably. I like the way Troy calls games. Shane, your takes are stupid. He's the best quarterback in the league. Every team overpays. Not just quarterbacks, every position. This is how the league operates. Yeah. Well, I think that's why the Patriots were great for 20 years. They never overpaid. If you were looking to make money, the New England Patriots never had like the highest paid player. Brady was never the highest paid player when he played in New England. He was never the highest paid guy. Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger will be remembered over guys like Rivers and Matt Ryan in 30 years. Which Dallas quarterback would you rather be, Aikman or Romo? Again, Aikman was a product of Jimmy Johnson. Played on a great football team. He'll be remembered because of the players around him, not because of his play. Of all the 3 guys, do me a favor. Let Enticed tell him this. Rank the triplets in that Dallas dynasty. How many people would put Aikman above Emmett or Michael Irvin? Me, it's Emmett, it's Irvin, and it's Aikman. He's the 3rd guy in that wheel. He ain't the first guy. Smith, Irvin, and Aikman. Right. Aikman's the 3rd dude. Right. Emmett was the catalyst on that team. He's the guy with 19,000 rushing yards. I mean, stats don't lie. Dude, you just heard a Hall of Famer just say Jalen Hurts is not an elite guy. Stats don't lie. Jalen Hurts and Brady, in their first 5 years, dude, Tom Brady Name me one player that was a superstar player in Brady's first 5 years on offense. That was a Hall of Fame player that he won Super Bowls with. And Gronk wasn't there yet. Name me one player. In Brady's first Super Bowl, the first year that they won, the first two, name me one. Deion Branch is not a Hall of Famer. Name me one guy that was a skilled player that's a Hall of Fame player that was even like a Pro Bowl kind of guy. I mean, name me a guy. Hey, Brady didn't play with anybody. Love talking with Howard Balzer. Okay, so Jeremy Fowler is saying that many teams are going to be calling Howie Roseman about the potential availability of A.J. Brown. By the way, I didn't get to my offseason question marks here on the Eagles, and we're going to do that here with Xander here in a second. I want to bring that in. By the way, do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. We'll read the supers at the end. Without further ado, we bring our friend in, Big Z. Xander Krause. He joins us now. How you doing, bro?
What's up, Sills? How you living over there, brother?
All good, man. Let's start it with AJ.
Uh-oh.
So Jeremy Fowler has come out, and he was on, I guess, that show Get Up today. And he was saying that executives are going to be contacting the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you believe, after what Jason Kelce said today on WIP, and I want to quote this here, Xander, and I want to make sure I get this right here, okay? Jason Kelce on the perceived lack of effort from A.J. Brown this year. It's very unfortunate a player who allows his internal frustrations to manifest into his play, and it makes him play worse, and it makes the offense play worse. To me, that sounds like a weak-minded guy. If you're trying all these changes, wouldn't it be best off if you moved on from the player?
Potentially. I mean, it's hard to know the inner workings of how the coaches, how the quarterback, how everybody sees his comments. But I do think what you learned last year is that they mattered to some extent because they tried to get him involved a lot more. I forget who it is who comes on. I think it's Mike North who comes on often and says, well, they were winning every game when he wasn't getting touches and he was crying. And then he started getting touches and the Eagles started losing. Now, I don't necessarily correlate those things to, I don't know that necessarily correlation, causation, whatever. You guys know that phrase. But, yeah, I mean, I think if it's going to take away, then that's the point you've reached. So the other thing I think that's more important than that is, I mean, if your lack of focus is going to degrade your quality of play in big moments, I mean, look, say what you want about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts trusted him in big moments in the playoff game. He didn't deliver. That's unacceptable. And I don't think that happened because he's losing it as a player or it was a bad moment even. I don't even think it was that. I think the lack of focus got to him. And that's where I think I would pull the trigger. If that's not going to be fixed, then in a way, we're wasting both of our time, and I don't think that's a good thing.
Understand this: Jeremy Fowler is a very respected guy, and he's saying that executives are going to be reaching out to the Eagles.
Oh, they are.
People keep bringing the money up. Hey, guys, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about with the money. People will make that shit work. They'll make. You get caught up in.
They will, but it is a challenge with AJ.
It is.
Yeah,
it is
he's one
of
the toughest.
However, though, Xander, people make things happen. We've seen it. The Eagles took on a $30 million cap hit with Wentz, didn't they?
32, yeah, dead cap. Yep.
Okay, so they've got precedent where they've done it, right? Okay, so again, I mean,
I don't disagree with you. I think they will do it. I'm just pointing out that of all the people on the team, 52-man roster, next to Jalen and Lane Johnson, actually, AJ Brown's contract is probably the hardest to move off of, and he's harder than Lane's. So it's a tough contract to move. It is. It's a challenge to move.
Okay. So I got some questions here for you as we head into the offseason here. Jalen Hurts. How do you think the relationship with Mannion and Josh Grizzard? Last year I asked this question. People thought the transition with Kevin Patullo would be an easy one because Kevin was in the building. Sean Mannion and Josh Grizzard and Jalen Hurts. What impact do you think those three have on one another?
It's a good question. I look at those coaches, and as optimistic as anybody could be about them, I think that it would be fair to wonder, how's Jalen going to respond to youthful leadership? Sean Mannion is 6 years his superior, and he can't hold a candle to Jalen's resume when he played. Now, playing isn't always, a perfect indication of a coach. Some of the greatest coaches of all time haven't played the game, a lot of them. So that's not a perfect comp. Jalen's one of those, people call him an old soul. I think that's an accurate description of him. How's he going to resonate with a 33, a 35, and a 38-year-old that control the run game, the pass game, and are the OC? Now, let's see what they do in the quarterback coach. That's why I like that Olsen guy that they're talking about, because, all right, at least you give me somebody with some major experience and pedigree. But I do wonder, I don't know how it's going to be, Sills. And the worst part about it, well, the true part about it is we're not going to find out.
No.
Because Jalen doesn't say a whole lot about it, which is fine. But people will draw from his comments whatever they want or however they want to take it. And we will see. I think what will win him over will be competence. I think if every time you meet somebody, you can sense something about them. Certain people give off certain things. If Jalen Hurts feels that Sean Mannion is competent, and Seth Joyner used to say this. That's one of my favorite things that Seth used to say on our shows when he was on JAKIB. He used to say, when a player believes a coach can make them better or teach them something, a player will listen to that coach. You could be the greatest coach in the world, but if you don't have the respect or the ear of your player, you're not going to get through to him. So that's kind of how I see Jalen. I think he's got that hard-headed approach, and he should. He's a successful player. And I think if they show competence, I think he'll be able to buy in. But I think he'll buy in anyway because he's got no choice, dude. You got to buy in, brother. That's who the team hired. So you either buy in or the team has a bad year, and then everybody might be on the way out,
Here's question number 2. What impact do you think Sean Mannion, Josh Grizzard, and Chris Cooper have on Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, it's a good question. Again, I'm actually a little bit more glib on Barkley this year. I just really don't see him as a player that can be used in the style of offense that we're presuming they're going to run. Now, that doesn't mean Saquon's not an amazing player. He's an amazing player, but you can list out 5 strengths and 5 weaknesses for any player, any person, any human, anything. Saquon's got 5 incredible strengths. If you list his weaknesses as a player, I'd put catching the ball out of the backfield. I'd put pass protection. These are things that you got to do.
Yeah.
Being a patient runner.
Yeah.
How's that going to play? Now, are they going to run full West Coast? I don't know if they're going to run full West Coast. If they do, I think they're making a bad mistake because I don't think the quarterback or the running back or really anybody is built for that. But maybe they try, and we'll see what they end up doing. I don't know that it's going to be a positive impact on Barkley. Hear me out. Barkley had Jeff Stoutland and the Nick Sirianni offense ran for 3,700 yards in 2 seasons. Now, granted, 25 of them came in one of them, but
still,
it
adds up.
Pretty good output, my friends.
It sure is.
So, how are they going to make him better than that? That's a tough feat.
Okay, here's another one here. Will the Eagles re-sign Dallas Goedert or draft his replacement?
I think draft his replacement, Sills. I'd actually like to see him come back, but I think they're gonna look to get cheap there, and I think they got to get a long-term option here. I mean, if you remember last offseason at this time, we were kind of having similar convos about the tight end situation.
Yeah.
We don't have a long-term solution here. And if you bring Goddard back, I think you're kind of on the hamster wheel again. And I think it'd be a good opportunity, a good year to pick up a guy in the draft, either a first, second, or third rounder. I don't think it'll be a first rounder, second or third rounder, maybe even a high fourth rounder if you feel good about the tight end class. And look for somebody that can contribute to your football team for the next 4 years. I'm not talking about Grant Calcaterra. I'm talking about a tight end that you can put out there on 3 downs and can play ball. And that's hard to find. And maybe that's a big ask for 4th round. So maybe you got to go premium round. But I think that's what you need here. I don't know if you want to go back down the Goddard route, as much as I like Goddard, actually.
All right. I'm going to take you behind the curtain a little bit here. And I suggested this to somebody in the Eagle organization, and you guys you'll get it. You ready, Zay?
Yep.
I told this particular guy, you know what I would do? I would extend Jordan Davis before I extended Jalen Carter. Light that fucking fire under that kid's ass and give him the money first. Because what did they do a year ago with him?
Right.
They picked up the 50-year option. He kicked it into gear, and it motivated the player to play his ass off this year for me to consider it. What do you make of that take? What would you think about doing that?
This is one of those questions where, I don't profess to be the expert. I'm sure Howie will make his decision, but I agree with you. I mean, it makes sense. He didn't have a good year. The disciplinary and stuff, reared its head again this year, several moments. The injuries are a concern if you're the Eagles. And if you're Jalen Carter, I mean, what does it teach you to not deliver your best and then get paid like you delivered your best? I don't know. I mean, give him that upside, give him that, that experience to see Jordan get paid. And he obviously watched what Jordan accomplished and how much he worked for it. So I agree with you. I think it's a good way to do it. I do. I think that's the right way to do it. The thing where I think it might not happen that way is if they believe they can save $20 million by signing Jalen Carter a year early, I think they're going to do that.
Well, see, that's a great question now, because I brought this up with Baker. Baker didn't have a really great year this year, right? I suggest that the Bucks might want to give you a contract extension now, because I would say this. What's the price tag on him right now? 45? Okay. If he goes into the year and he plays like he did 2 years ago, it's 55. So, I mean, does the quarterback want to do that? Because if that's me, what if I play shitty? He was on the IR, not IR, but he was listed on the injury list 8 times. If I'm the player's agent and I do this, shit, should I take the 45? That's $15 million increase right now. Or do I gamble? I'm 31 years old, 32 years old. If I'm the Bucks, I offer him the cash now. See, for me with Carter, I'd go to Carter and say this. Here's 28. Here's 28 million. That's 2 million more than Milton got. Here's 28 million. Do you want the money now, or do you want to gamble on yourself? So far, what I saw you gambling on yourself last year, you don't want another year like that, dude. You have 2 years like that in a row, you ain't getting 35 million.
Right.
You're not getting 30. I'm not paying $30 million a year for Jalen Carter if he puts another year like that up. So do you take the 28 now?
Maybe. But I don't know. It's a tight line with that player, isn't it? Because everybody.
Yeah, because there's more variable. You know what? I feel more comfortable giving Jordan Davis the money than I do Jalen Carter.
And the tougher part about Carter is,
he's more talented.
It's a little more boomer bust. Yeah, you have a bigger upside, but you also have a bigger downside because of how much you're looking to pay for him.
Yeah.
And I think, I actually think the biggest issue with the Carter thing is the injuries. More than the discipline stuff, more than the play this year, I think it's the injuries. And you have a guy who missed multiple games because of injuries. He wasn't the same player when he was on the field this year. Whether you want to blame that on injuries or not, I don't know. I think that's what he will. That's what Drew will. That's what his agent will. How do you know?
Yeah, but discipline plays in the preparation too.
It does, but the thing that they used last year, and I know because John gave me the same thing, so I know the agent was out there spinning the talking points. Jalen Carter wasn't able to prepare for the season the same way that Jordan Davis was because he couldn't lift consistently with his shoulders.
Well, then why did he address that in the offseason? I mean, what did
I don't
you
know.
That's on the player.
And I think they're waiting to do it now because they feel like if they go under the knife for the shoulders, he's going to hurt his value.
This is why I would offer him.
I would do the 5th-year option.
Or here's 28. And I get a steal.
Better. I like the 5th-year option better because this is what I guarantee you. His 5th-year option is going to be a pretty good money. It's going to be 20 million plus probably. 20
million. I think you need to kick that up a little higher.
Yeah, like 25 million, you think? For a 5th-year option? Yeah, that's about right. So give him the 5th-year option, and now he's got to make a decision. Are you going to get the shoulders done or are you not? Now, Yale says he had surgery. Yeah, I didn't see that anywhere. Well, he had a minor microscopic, Yale. He didn't have the full surgery. That was in season, Yale, I think you're talking about. Yeah, that was the microscopic one. He needs a full surgery. And I think he's pushing it off because Drew says, let's get the money. And I think if the Eagles pick up the 5th-year option, now he's going to have to say, I either fix my shoulders and have a better year, or I try and wait to get the big bag and I don't play as good for a second straight season. I don't know. He's a little bit of a complex situation. Obviously, he's a good enough player that you want to pay him, but
the tag, they're not tagging him. The tag would be 27.4. Just to keep that in context. And 26, you'd be paying the guy $28 million. See, I say this to the guy. Take the money now, kid. If you come back and you have a shit year like you did this year, you ain't getting 28. I'd hold the kid's shitty year against him, and I would make him feel even worse by paying Jordan Davis before him. Jordan Davis deserves it, dude. I feel better paying him right now than I think Carter.
I would pay Jordan for sure. I mean, look, even if you listen and think that Jordan Davis hasn't lived up to the 13th overall pick, you got to flush that down the toilet. You need great defensive tackles in the NFL, or good defensive tackles. And Jordan Davis is a good defensive tackle. He might not be the 13th overall pick that you wanted, where he was going to be the greatest game record. He might not be that. He's a damn good DT, and you need damn good DTs in the NFL. So I would pay Jordan Davis. I don't even think he's a question. I would pay him.
The reason that I get clouded is because Fletcher was a 13th or 12th player taken.
Was Fletcher? Yeah, Fletcher was that high.
Okay.
Fletcher was, I think.
Fletcher was
like the 12th overall.
I think he was somewhere around there. If I can remember right.
Maybe. Yeah, 12.
He was 12th?
12.
That's my problem. I'm stuck on Fletcher Cox going, Fletcher was the 12th player taken.
You got to move on from that.
13th was well, he's no Fletcher Cox, dude.
No, I'm not saying he is. He's also not going to be paid like Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox signed a 7-year, $96 million deal, I remember, with Philly back when that was a lot of money. 7 years, 96 today would be a freaking deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fletcher was paid, man. Fletcher was one of the highest paid DTs in football. So,
okay. Here's another question for you. So we're hearing all indications that Lane's coming back. 94, 41, and 1 with him out there. 15 and 27 when he's not out there.
Wait, what was it with him out there?
94, 41, and 1.
Woo! Holy moly.
In his time in Philadelphia, during his time, 94 wins, 41 losses, and 1 tie. Without him, he's 15 and 27. So my question to you is, replacing that guy just might be more difficult than replacing A.J. Brown. Okay. What version are you getting with him? His impact coming back will be what? I mean, do you go offensive tackle? Because, again, here's the problem, Xander, with him. I don't know the version I'm getting with him. That's why I think I have to go offensive tackle at that position.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think optimistically, I'd like to say that Lane's going to be back, and he's going to be a much improvement from who he had in the second half of the year last year. And I say that with respect to Fred. But Sills, when you have a 36-year-old guy on your roster in the NFL, the question that you just asked can be applied to every last one of them. So what version? I don't know. And that's the other catch. You don't know. Howie doesn't know. Jeffrey doesn't know. Clint Hurt doesn't know. No, not Clint Hurt. Jeff Stoutland, Chris Cooper, whatever the hell the new guy's name is, doesn't know. Sean Mannion doesn't know. Jalen Hurts doesn't know. Nobody knows. You would think that if Lane's healthy, he's going to cook. I think he's going to be fine. I didn't see – when Lane was healthy, I can't say I watched him get beat up very much last year. So I think Lane will be good. But the question is, can he stay healthy,
I don't believe I've ever seen Lane Johnson.
I'm a little concerned on that injury, man. Like, when it happened, it was like 4 to 6 weeks, and we thought for sure he'd be back by the regular season, not even the playoffs. Kept pushing it. Then there was some mental health talk. I don't want to speculate on that. I don't know. And then he never came. I don't know. It just felt weird to me. It didn't feel fully transparent.
Yeah, but the injury, unless it's something else, I'm not concerned with the injury. I'm concerned with the age and the amount of injuries he's had.
Well, don't they go? They a little go hand in hand at this point.
The accumulation of it all, because Xander, when you get older, the recoup is longer.
If I put the over under at 13.5 games for Lane, would you take the over or the under?
Whew, that's right on the number too, boy. I don't think he plays more than 13 ball games.
I hate to say this, but I feel like I agree with you, and I don't want to agree with you at all.
I think they're going to try to spread him out as much as they can, because I need him in the back end of that season, not the front end. Then again, the way the schedule's shaping up, you may need it. You don't know yet, because the hard end of your schedule may be at the front end. It's hard to say that right now in February until you see the schedule, but 12 games for Lane, 13 games for Lane. 13, 14, 15, 16. Missing 4 games. Does that sound right? Missing 4 games for a 36-year-old offensive tackle.
Sounds right.
Doesn't that sound right? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right. Here's another one for you here. The new offensive scheme and the new offensive skill set. What to do with AJ if he is here? Now, do you feel, when I say this comment, can this offense run effectively through Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley without A.J. Brown? Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles could repeat as NFC East champions, running the offense through Devontae and Barkley?
If A.J. was gone?
Yep.
No. I don't feel very good about that, dude. I don't. The league has changed. You used to get away with, well, I guess the Seahawks just kind of broke that. I mean, they didn't have 2 huge.
Yeah, well, that JSN guy's a little different. Man, they move him all over. Plus, you have a pretty good 2 in Cooper.
I think my bigger gripe is not, and I hate to say this because everybody immediately will turn you to a hater, but it doesn't work because I think the quarterback isn't a volume guy. You know what I mean? So like JSN got, I don't know how many catches he had last year, 100 something?
Like 130.
Yes, I mean, that's a freaking lot, dude.
I mean, yeah, like almost 19.
I mean, that's almost Devontae and AJ put together. They had 70 each, I think.
He had like 100. They had like 1,800 yards receiving.
Let me look up his stats.
Yeah, he had like 1,800 yards.
I don't say that as a knock on Hurts. I just say with Hurts' style, you have to manage it the right way, and it's not you need a variance of playmakers. Hurts doesn't spread the ball. He's not a volume passer, so I think you're going to need a little bit more weapons to go that route. But dude, Jackson Smith-Njigba is 23. He turns 24 in 2 days. That's interesting, but that's insane. That season he just had as a 23-year-old.
What did he have? What were the numbers?
I'm getting them. Give me a second. fucking what is this? Cloudflare verification. Here we go. He had 163 targets, 119 catches, 1793 in yards, and 10 touchdowns.
Oh my God!
And in the playoffs, he had 26 targets, 17 receptions, and 199 and 2 tutties.
Bro, 1793. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Megatron is 1930. I think Megatron had like 1930, 1950.
Yeah.
I think that's the record. Now, I think they only played 16 games back then.
They did. They
okay,
did.
so that number's a little more insane when you're talking about Megatron here. Okay, I got another one here for you. So let's go down here to, let me see here. How do you address the cornerback position here? What will the Eagles address the cornerback spot with? Will they do this in the draft or will they do this in free agency?
Do what?
Address cornerback 2.
Boy, it's a pick 'em. I mean, it could be either one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they might draft one because it would make sense to get one on a rookie deal.
You
but
said the other deal to me, you doubt they go down that lane because
I don't think so, but it also makes some sense because now you're 2 years done on Cooper and Quignon. So you got a 2 to 3 year window already now where you're going to have to, if you pay the guy you draft this year after Quignon and Coop. So, think about it. Coop will probably get paid next summer before his final year of his contract.
Yep.
So you'll have another 2 or 3 years till you have to pay, the next guy you would draft. So the draft makes sense, but you'd have to get the right guy. And the other thing there is, are you gonna hit like you did on Quignon? I know it's 2 great picks, but Makuba was a good pick. That's more what you get from a 64th overall player. Good season, but he's not ready. He wasn't ready to be a bona fide starter yet. He wasn't a playmaker. So if they don't feel like they can get that, I think they might go the older route again. So
do you think this football team in front of our eyes right now, with all the changing on offense, do you think they're making a financial change from the offensive paying the guys to the defensive side? And this is why we're seeing a lot of young people coming in on offense, is because I heard you guys talking this morning about personnel being changed out in the next 2 years. I mean, I can see the comment, Xander, where you're paying more money on the defensive side of the ball to keep Vic in the building. If you start spending more money on defense, wouldn't that entice Vic to stay?
No.
You wouldn't want to stay if they started instead of going blowtorch every offseason, they started retaining guys over there.
I don't think it's about that for Vic. I'm not saying your point is wrong. Vic to me is a dude who's like, I'm an old salty dog and I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. If I'm going to walk away, I'm walking away. There's no variable that's going to change that. So that's how I see it. I think this is Vic's last year.
Okay.
He's 67 or 68, dude. He's getting up there.
All right. Here's my last one, and I got one last one when it comes to Sirianni. So Reed Blankenship, according to PFF, was ranked 96th as a safety.
Oh, really? Was he?
96th. I heard you sound
like you just talked about Vic. Don't take away Vic's boy Reed.
Hey, wait.
Vic doesn't care about no PFF ranking.
He's 96th. I remember you telling me you want to pay $10 million to a 96th ranked safety. 96th.
I think you're making shit up.
I bet you do. 2025 PFF ranking 42.2.
You let Reed stinking ship walk. Vic might retire right now.
96th. What do you do with that, Steph?
It's a good question. I'd pay him.
You'd pay him what?
All right, so you're going to get rid of Nakobe Dean. You're going to get rid of Jalen Phillips. You're going to get rid of Reed Blankenship, and you're gonna run it back again and be a defensive football team.
I'm just putting it out there, man. What's going on? And you're getting
I'm
younger.
going off of what I've been told. I've been told that Reed Blankenship is the glue in the secondary.
I've been still waiting for that contract for over a year and 2 months.
A year and 2 months? How about a year and 8 months? 10 months? After the Super Bowl last year, you were asking that.
Jesus criminy, man. How many more freaking months are we going to go here? All right. Nick Sirianni. Is he going to have a big leash or short leash in 26?
Short leash in 26, I would think, unless they're throwing us a whirlwind and they're building it for Nick in another world or another life or another, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I don't think so. I think short leash.
Short leash for a guy, and he is.
Whoa!
Is he on the hot seat then?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait, your boy's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
How the fuck did that get there?
Well, you can't go down this road. You're not allowed to play that card. You've been saying he's a caboose.
I know he is. I'm talking. Wait,
you and every other numbnuts listening right now.
No.
Yeah. Wait, when they lose, it's all Nick. When they win, it's no Nick. All right.
You just
and I
told
say
me
the same thing about people who say that about Jalen. If you're going to give Jalen credit for wins, then he deserves credit for losses. I rip Hurts when he doesn't play good.
Wait,
Hurts deserves credit if they win.
Wait, folks, listen to what this guy's trying to play. He's trying to play both sides of the. He's trying to have two girlfriends here at one time.
No, I'm not. You and everybody else.
Hey,
when the Eagles win, it's Jalen Hurts and the players and Howie. Okay.
Yeah.
When they lose, it's the coaches. How does that make sense?
Okay, easily. You just told me he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, that's an owner thing.
Dude, boy, I'll tell you, I got to get my decoder book out for all the fucked up shit that goes on with your team. So wait a minute. The coach was almost fired twice in 3 years. He's now on the hot seat. He's been in the playoffs every year, but the owner doesn't even give him credit for his resume. Is that what you're telling me?
The owner didn't give Doug credit for his resume.
Man, this is a pseudo world I live in Philly with these guys.
Dude, there's too many stiffs. And Izzy B, I hate to do it to you, but I'm calling you out. What did you give her Doug for? Yeah, let me guess, Izzy B. When they won a world championship a year ago, whatever the hell it was, no, it was all the players. Jalen's a winner.
And Howie.
And then when they lose, it's all Nick, right?
Howie.
How convenient is that? All right, so now that they failed, is it on Howie that they failed, or no, you still put it on Nick? Again, there's no consistency.
No, because your organization's not consistent.
I don't give a shit. I don't need to subscribe to their inconsistency. I'm consistent.
Okay, you know what? Okay, Howie took a blowtorch, folks. Did you not hear me say Howie took a blowtorch to your defense? How you doing? You're not good. Your football team's not consistent. Damn. Woo! This gonna be fun. I could tell you what. I got John McMullen here. I'm gonna let you go here, Z. But I'll tell you what, here, bro. This gonna be another wow.
We got a good super chat we got to get to. I saw it come over, and I've been thinking about it since he sent it.
Listen, John McMullen doesn't think Hurts and this team is going to do that offense.
No, he doesn't.
And I'm
100%. You must have heard the comment. It was the funniest comment that maybe I've ever heard John say, and it was very unintentionally funny.
Say it. I may
because we were talking about how they scaled it back with Kellen. Remember, it was 4 weeks.
Yep.
So I said, all right, John, if you don't think they're going to do this West Coast, when do you think they scale it back? And he goes, week 1.
Week 1.
Week 1? What the fuck do you mean week 1? I didn't even put on my jock strap yet. What the fuck?
My God.
Week 1.
Xander, I haven't even broken in my cleats yet.
Yeah. Right. I was growing. After the show, I reheard that, and I'm like, holy shit.
Hey, you know what I would tell? You know what I would ask then if that happens? If they do that and revert back, it's going to implode even bigger, because then my question would be, why'd you fire Stoutland then if you're going to go back?
Yeah, I said that this morning.
Why would you go back to doing what you did if you
Now,
fired?
I'm insinuating that Stoutland became a pain in the ass. Ego got big. The Stout U stuff went to his head. The city loving him went to his head. Thought he deserved more credit or more, more say in the way it unfolded. And he's not the head coach.
I got that, but I mean, quite a few Hall of Famers he's coached there since he's been there. I mean,
you don't have to sell me.
I mean,
and by the way, we have 2 world champions, 2 Super Bowls in the history. And by the way,
what was the common denominator?
And the best part of both of them was the offensive line. So
wait,
you're not going to get me to rip just that one.
He can't have an ego. I mean, I'm all right with if Nick can have an ego. You're telling me he can't?
I don't even think he has an ego. I think he thinks I'm no dumbass, man. I know what I'm talking about, and he's right.
I really think it came down. I don't want to work for a 33-year-old dude. I think it came down to that. I think it came down to what would this guy possibly know? No disrespect to him. What would that guy possibly know that we haven't done here with success? And I think it's an insult. I really do. I think it's insulting.
And this is a good comment. Stout earned that ego. I mean, there's a difference between having an ego and it not being founded in truth. And then there's a difference in earning
That's
it.
right.
And it's a good comment. It's true.
That's right. That's right. Guys, do me a favor, supers. Forgot any? We'd love to have you here with them. Thank you so much. Please hit that like button. And see what you said. You got one here you want to read.
We got a couple, but there's one that really sticks out to me. And here it is. It's the most recent one. Steve says this. They're going to run Doug Peterson's hybrid West Coast offense. I remember him mentioning that when they let Hurts be the starter. They're going to work around that. Saquon's days are numbered for obvious reasons. So anybody who remembers, and Steve, I'm going to use this all summer. Steve, I think you're right. I didn't even think about this until I just saw Steve commented a little bit ago. I remember Doug Peterson making I can't give you verbatim, making a comment that I don't run just the West Coast offense. I run a version of that that's tailored to the player's skill sets. Now, Steve, I would say this to you. If that's going to be the approach, and it makes sense because it's built to accentuate the talents of the quarterback, the playmakers on the team. There was a lot of 12 and even 13 personnel when Doug Peterson was running that. Remember, they had Goddard and Ertz at the time. They better get some tight ends if they're going to run that style.
Why did you hire Doug as a consultant to install the offense?
Because they're not going down that road, dude.
So you're gonna get a guy who's going to. And by the way, the quarterbacks that you had in the building to run that hybrid West Coast, they were fucking Nick Foles and Wentz, who could throw from the pocket and process. I mean, those are. Do you think Nick Foles and Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts? You think you have any similarities? Any similarities in how they play in the pocket?
Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts?
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, so we're gonna run Doug's hybrid West Coast with Jalen?
Yeah, but Doug, no. That'll work. I think you're dismissing it. Actually, I get what you're saying, but it was RPO integration. They had RPO. They used personnel packages, like I just said, 12 and 13 personnel. I mean, remember, where Doug Peterson got that, right? Andy Reid. That's where that came from. So I think you blend in some of the high percentage stuff that they're going to try and do with some RPO, and you got to. That's why they're going to need tight ends, because they better mix up the personnel packages, because they're not going to make their hay on straight West Coast shit. They're not.
But Xander, if you're gonna let's say the quarterback, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Do you have the tight end, and do you have the backs, and do you have the old line that gives you that affordability to be able to run that offense? Man,
I got something on my purview here for the offseason that I think could come. I think the Eagles could make a splash at running back. and not getting rid of Saquon Barkley.
Who, Kenny Walker?
No, that's too big. No.
He's a free agent, by the way.
He just got Super Bowl MVP. He's going to get paid like Saquon. Not him. I don't mean that big. I mean maybe a high draft pick or something like that. Maybe like a trade for somebody that's not, whatever. But I think they're going to go into this season. Remember what they did in 2020?
Would they draft Love in the first round?
Nah, that's too high. Nah, too many other needs. I don't mean that high.
23?
Dude, they need that first round pick. You're going to draft a running back when you have a right tackle who's about to retire?
Whoa, wait. You're going to go to an offense that the running back doesn't fit.
Hear me out.
But Jeremiah Love fits that offense.
Hear me out. 2017, the Eagles won the Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. They had good backs. They had LeGarrette Blount and Corey Clement, who was an undrafted free agent out of Glassboro, New Jersey, 45 minutes up the road from me. If you're over the bridge, huh?
And Ajayi, wasn't he in there too somewhere?
They traded for Ajayi at the deadline.
Yeah.
They traded for Ajayi that year. They added a third back. Now, I'm not saying they're going to take the same exact approach, but do you look at it and say, if we're going to run this hybrid West Coast, which, Steve, this is where I love your comment because West Coast is just not happening. They're not running a full West Coast offense, but hybrid makes more sense where you bring in good skill position players, running backs, tight ends. They already have the receivers, and you have a bunch of different personnel packages, a bunch of different formations, and you can run a really varied approach here with the West Coast. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Do you believe in a place called the Eagle Times?
No.
Okay, because they just posted saying that the Eagles are reportedly considering drafting a quarterback on day 2.
Who did they report a source? I think they were like an aggregate company.
Okay, all right. Because
where's the Eagle Times?
The Eagle Times got 19,000 followers. It's just you follow them.
Yeah, I know who it is. It's
okay. Well, if you don't think it's
what did they post?
They said that the Eagles are considering drafting a quarterback on day 2.
Well,
trending. Eagles are reportedly considering drafting a quarterback on day 2. If this happens, it could put pressure on Jalen Hurts leading into this season, similar to what unfolded with Carson Wentz years ago. The Eagles have done this before, and it changed everything. I don't think like what? Trinidad Chambliss?
What's that?
Trinidad Chambliss.
Don't tell me with that. I like that kid. I like the heart on that kid.
I thought he should have beat Miami.
I like what's fucking in here with that guy. All right.
His story too. He was at some nowhere college prior to Ole Miss. He was at some nowhere. He was at
Ferris State, I believe.
Some fucking nothing school.
Ferris State, I think.
And Lane found his ass, brought him in, and the guy, dude, was that guy first team All SEC? I think Trinidad Chambliss.
He probably was. I mean, who would have been better this year?
Yeah, it wasn't Ty.
No, and it wasn't the dude.
It wasn't Arch.
The Georgia dude.
And it wasn't right. It wasn't the Gunner kid.
2025.
Yeah, it had to be Trinidad Chambliss. He was a stud there at the end last year.
I'll tell you who it was right now.
Oh,
it wasn't him. It was Diego Pavia for first team.
Oh God, was he second team?
He was second team with Ty, him and Ty.
Okay. Trinidad Chambliss, second round Eagles. How you feel about that?
I kind of like it. Don't tempt me with it. All right. Don't tempt me with that shit.
Trinidad Chambliss. All right, let's get.
We don't need to go there yet. That's not.
I think you're a year away from that too.
Yeah, I don't know. And by the way, the thing about Chambliss, as much as I like him, is he is small. He's very small.
He is. He's a short guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Pavia. I think. I don't know how tall Pavia is, but Pavia is like 5.
You watch the Jets draft that 5'5" guy. You watch. Pavia. The Jets draft that guy.
Oh God, that guy.
5'5" something. I don't know.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Guy made $6 million last year with with the with
Well, he
Van.
put on a show.
He did.
I
He
mean, for the cameras, and that's
He
a
did.
part of this game.
He did. He
You
put
can
it
make
on.
a lot of money putting on a show.
Would you draft a quarterback this draft? You may lose Tyler McKee.
Yeah, I mean, I'd maybe draft a 5th or 6th rounder.
Carson
No,
Beck.
I don't think it. Look, I'll criticize Jalen. Let's live in real world for a little bit, guys. You don't draft a fucking replacement for your Super Bowl MVP quarterback a year after the Super Bowl, okay? You don't do that. I don't care what world you live in. You don't do that. And the Eagles are not about to do that, all right? So, come on.
You think they're putting pressure on Jalen this year, though?
I do. And that's where I think the 27 season is going to be. I think this is a crux year for learning about the setup where, you can maybe point finger or whatever, however you want to look at it. But I think it's going to weed things out because you're going to know more now than more from this than you did from the past. But where I think Jalen is safe is this. They hired think about who they hired. Okay. I want you to really think about it and tell me what I'm thinking about. They hired a 33, a 35, and a 38-year-old to run the offense. When that fails, does everybody really believe that they're going to move on from Jalen Hurts and not move on from the 33, 35, 38-year-old coaches that don't have any experience? Come on. So they've already built in. My point is they've already built in.
I don't believe that. I don't believe you're making these meteoric changes and you're just going to do it again. So you think this is a 6-month gap? If it doesn't work, they're going to go hire a brand new coaching staff next year? A full coaching staff. You may even have to hire a complete defensive staff. Boy, it's 27. It's 26 big. Dude, 26 is enormous. How about if you went and got Malik Willis as a backup quarterback?
I actually like Malik Willis. I liked him in the draft. I was surprised he fell so far.
Didn't he start a couple games in Tennessee? I thought they got a job.
I think a few. They drafted that goofy ass dude. What was that goofy ass quarterback that was eating the mayo?
The kid from Penn State, right?
No, Kentucky, I think.
Kentucky.
What was that kid's name? That goofy ass dude. What was that guy's name?
He was
Will Levis. That was it. Will Levis.
Yeah. You know how I know that kid? Kid's from Connecticut because he started at Penn State. He started at Penn State and then transferred.
Goofy ass mother effer.
Yeah.
He was like on Mayo commercial. I love mayo too, so I can't.
Me too. I love mayo too, man.
I fucking crush my sandwiches with mayo.
Me too. I love mayonnaise, man. My grandpa hated it, but I liked it. Yeah. Any more supers, dude?
Yeah, we got more. Eduardo, I don't have a name in mind, brother. I was just saying, I think they could come into the season not looking at that as a one-man show anymore. Remember how John used to say, no way, they're giving Tank the ball. I think they might bring in another back to split those reps up a little bit. I love the super on Doug. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Let's go to – what time did I join today? 4:30? Did you get this one, Dan? I get your quarterback take? Yeah, you got that one, right? And Tice Rahman, did you get this? Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger will be remembered over guys like Rivers and Matt Ryan in 30 years.
Let me ask you this on running backs. Tyler Algier. He operated in the shadow of Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He is.
Yeah, he's a real good player.
Where did he
go to school? Tyler Algier. He went to some small school, I think. Tyler BYU? Was it BYU?
I think so.
Tyler L.
He gained 1,000 yards his rookie year in 22.
Yeah, he went to BYU. I knew him. I followed him in the draft season.
How about Najee Harris?
Not the right fit. No, not the right fit. Patient, actually.
How about Rashid White? Average 1,000 yards a year from scrimmage and 50 catches a year in his career in Tampa.
You know,
Worked
can you
with-
walk Shooter
Worked
McGavin
with,
off
with
the
Liam Cohn. Oh my God. And here's the tie-in. Josh Grizzard was his offensive coordinator. Of the 35 backs with 500 plus carries since 2022, he ranks 34 in yards per carry behind and only Kareem Hunt since he's been in the NFL. And he worked, and he's 27 years old. Rashad,
What's the right tandem with Saquon?
that's what I'm saying. You add him. You add Rashad.
Yeah, but do you think
White.
that style's the right tandem? Like, if you look at some of the other tandems, they're very different. Like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They're you look at Jahmyr Gibbs and you're like, okay, that's that skill set. The next thing we need is a power back. With Saquon, he's like a little bit of a power back, a little bit of a jukey, shifty guy. Like he's not as clear cut in one area.
How about J.K. Dobbins from the Broncos?
I like J.K.
772.
He's an Ohio State kid, right?
Yeah. 772, 10 games in Denver. Then he had a Liz Frank. He had 60-plus rushing yards, all in one game, average 5 yards per carry. He's a Pro Bowl caliber running back. He cost Denver only $2.75 million last year.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I guess these are all decent options. By the way, can you walk Shooter McGavin off the cliff? This guy's acting like look, I will chop off my nut for a left tackle because Will Campbell had a bad Super Bowl. The guy's 22 years old. Will Campbell is going to be fine, Shooter.
Dude, did you hear what Howard said about Will Campbell? Dude, look at the defenses the kid played. He got injured earlier in the year, and he came back and he played on a broken foot. I mean, dude,
look at this fucking stooge. You motherfucking dumbass. He says, no way these effing morons are thinking about replacing Saquon. First off, if you opened your God-blessed ears, we didn't say that. And second off, tell me how good the track record of 29 and 30-year-old running backs is in the NFL.
Bro,
Numb nuts.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Saquon Barkley was a one-year wonder?
No, he's been a great player his whole career. He didn't have great production his whole career, but he's always been a hyper-talented player. It's not like he catapulted onto the scene with 2K.
No,
he's a second overall draft pick. I mean,
I know, but he never lived up to it except for 1 year.
Well, you blame him for New York?
No,
I don't.
No,
I hear you though. Let's keep rolling on these because we got to get through these knuckleheads. Here is this was a good comment. You didn't answer it. Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger will be remembered over guys like Rivers and Matt Ryan in 30 years. Which Dallas quarterback would you rather be, Aikman or Romo? It's a good point.
I think Aikman was a product of the environment around him, and he excelled in that environment. And so, however you look at that, to me, Tony Romo, I'll tell you why Tony Romo is one of the greatest picks in Cowboy history. He was undrafted. He went on to do things and win games and do things that nobody ever expected him to do. Do I think he's an elite guy of an elite guys? No. But, bro, what did you expect him to do when he came out of college? He was supposed to be a clipboard holder, if that, or a UFL quarterback. He went on to become the Dallas Cowboys' all-time leading passer. Make more money than any quarterback in the history except for Dak. I mean, dude, I don't know. I think that's overachieving.
It is. Here's Pump. Snake in the grass moves in Philly sports right now. Phillies release a guy late in training camp, then send out a hit piece. Sixers, Eagles, shaking my head, fellas. Wait, what are you referring to with the Phillies?
Oh, who'd they release? By the way, all my friends at Clearwater are over there right now going like this. Phillies are in town, boy. I'll tell you, of all the minor league teams in Tampa,
Philly is a lot.
Dude, the Clearwater facility, I've been over there like I've probably broadcast from that Philly facility, 50 times. And I will tell you, it's the best facility. The Blue Jays have a great one in Dunedin.
Castellanos. They put out a hit piece on Casty.
What'd they do, move him?
Pump, I told you, how many years ago did I tell you that team will never win shit when they made their anthem singing about sitting in the corner like a loser? I told you that, Pump. It would never happen. Here's Walkout. What's up, Walkout? Thank you for the $20 super chat, brother. I appreciate you. You guys are the best. Thank you. What do you think is going to be Howie's priority at the draft? What positions? And I can't wait to listen to your coverage. Thanks, dude. We'll be covering it extensively, wall to wall. I think what we've talked about, man. I think defensive tackles, offensive tackles, offensive linemen, and I think potential secondary players. And maybe I think the wild card is receiver.
Get a pen. I want you to go 5 spots.
You get my thing.
I'm going to go 5 spots. Okay. And I'm just going to go 5. I think you're going to be shocked on one of them. Wait, I'm going to take that out. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. Because you can.
Is it week 5 of the offseason?
What?
Is it week 5 of the offseason? Yeah, right.
Is it? Jesus,
Yeah.
It's already there.
I know.
We're 10 days to the combines.
I know. It's crazy, brother.
All right, here's my 5 that I think right now on February 12th, I think the area's right here, brother. This is where I think we go. Number 5, you sold me on running back.
Little later, though. Like, where are you thinking?
That's my 5th priority.
Okay.
4th priority, I'm going to go wide out. You know why? The new offense. You have to get wide receivers to fit the offense.
Yep. And remember, Dotson's gone.
That's right. 3, I got tight end.
Yep.
I got tight end in there. 2, I got edge.
Yep.
1, I got OT.
Yep. I have the same list as you. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah, I think because the way we covered the team,
I'd maybe replace running back with safety or corner.
Oh, cornerback. So maybe put RB/CB as a 5th priority, because the running back, you really make a great point. I mean, dude, if you're going to run a spread, you got to have a back to be able to spread the ball with.
Dude, and if you're going to run a hybrid, you got to have multiple guys at those spots. You can't have one tight end and one running back and think you're going to run a varied.
So you're talking about Detroit's Ben Johnson 2024 offense.
A little bit. I think the Doug Peterson comp is really, dude, I'm telling you, dude, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, you're going to drink your Coronas and do whatever the fuck you want, as you should. But if you look up the Doug Peterson, West Coast,
I read
I
like
think you'll quickly see all the similar. I'm sure you remember it, but refresh yourself on it. I'm telling you, dude, that comment made a lot of sense to me.
I want to do something here. Let me go to that 2017 Eagles team. 2017 Eagles. Let me go here and look at that team. Super Bowl team. Okay. It was the 2017 team Super Bowl. Okay. So Zach Ertz was the leading receiver on that team with 824. And your second guy was Jeffries with 789.
Yep.
Aguilar was 768. You had Torrey Smith with 430. Look at these. And look at the reception. 74, 57. Jesus Christ. Wentz spread the ball around, dude. He was really good that year. And you're rushing. LeGarrette Blount had 766. And
they brought in Ajayi. He only played half the year. And Corey Clement. Corey Clement was an undrafted free agent who had a fucking great year.
Ajayi had 408.
I got a great picture of me and Corey Clement.
There's Corey Clement. He was young too, 321, 17 attempts, but they all get this. Here's the yards per carry: 5.8, 4.3, 4.7. Holy shit, your offensive line was mowing people over, dude.
Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture of me and Corey Clement. It's actually a good picture.
They were mowing dudes over. Look at that. By the way, so Corey Clement really had that many receiving yards too? Yeah,
Dude, he was
258
dude, don't you remember his catch in the back of the end zone in the playoff in the Super Bowl?
in the Super Bowl.
It was crazy. It was a sick catch. Damn, I can't find that photo.
Man, LeGarrette Blount was a beast inside the red zone for you guys. Holy shit. Dude, that was a really good football team.
Yeah, they were.
You
They
think
were
that
fun.
17, you think that team would have beat last year's team?
No. I don't think.
Randy Graham had 9.5 sacks that year. Fletcher Cox had 6.5. Fletcher Cox was really good. Holy crowd. There's a lot of good football players on this team. Chris Long was on this ball team. Jordan Hicks was on this team. Rasul Douglas was on
That's a
it.
good team, dude. You're bringing me back. That was, winning the first one was different, man. That was a different feeling.
Wow,
First one was
really good football players here.
I remember being in my apartment in Alabama when they were playing. I'm going to give a little TMI here. Aunt Betty, don't get mad at me. Hopefully nobody's listening that I don't want to be listening. This is our secret. I'm sitting there honking on the couch, and the Eagles are about to win. I remember all the Philly guys were around, and I lit up a fat blunt, Sileo. I laid my ass back on that fucking sofa, and I watched them bring that motherfucker home. That was a great fourth quarter, man. I
Good
up
for
a
you.
fatty like this shit, man.
Good.
Oh, man.
Like a Rastafarian.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
fucking
sir.
dope, dude. Very good. All right. Hey, Z. So the next couple moves here, what's next here coming up here, man? Is AJ the next thing? Is AJ the next thing to be decided? Or are they just going to, again, go to funny, you know what? Who said this? It was yesterday. It was Adam Kaplan. He said this. I think we're going to know more about AJ Brown in 10 days. Because he made the move for AJ Brown at the combines. According to Adam Kaplan, he talked to the general manager then and said, get back to me. Draft, they got back to him. They made the trade for him. How he's going to try to move AJ Brown or not move AJ Brown in 10 days at the combine.
Wait a second. Let me just to keep track here. You're going to change out the whole offensive coaching staff, hire a bunch of fucking guys who were born yesterday. You're going to get rid of your best receiver. You're going to get rid of your star tight end who led the team in touchdowns, and you're going to have a better year? Yeah, good luck. I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Hey, I'm just why would you're making a lot of moves here, bro. You're making a lot of moves.
We got more supers. Here's right. Kyle. What up, Kyle? Sills and Xander. Way the new offensive line is approaching. You think Lomu fits the style? Yeah, I do actually. Well, let me look up Lomu's size.
Here. So you're going to bring in a brand new offensive line guy for an offensive line.
I like this Caleb Lomu kid, though.
Okay. Do you like Chris Cooper?
What do I know about Chris Cooper? He got blown out.
Bro, I'd rather have fucking
look at all these people speculating. Bruce says Z's the type to hold the blunt. Bruce, if only you knew the truth. If only you knew the truth. The blunt rotation didn't start till your boy showed up, Bruce. The whole fucking party was on your boy. All right? All right? That goes for everywhere I went. All right?
Can you imagine?
Bruce, don't get it fucking twisted, guy.
Hey, Bruce, can you imagine walking into Big Z's dorm? There must have been a fucking hookah right in the middle of the fucking.
No hookah. Blunts and shit, although that.
Let me tell you, I'll just give it. Aunt Betty, close your ears.
Yeah, I hope Aunt Betty's not listening.
Listen, Aunt Betty. So you walk into Big Sills' dorm. Jerome Brown was in there, and everybody was in there. All I remember is this. There were joint papers everywhere and pizza boxes everywhere.
You know what I used to go to so we had the in Alabama, there's not a whole lot to eat off the campus if you don't know. I used to go to the gas station, had a little mart, and I was boys with the owner there at the mart. He would always hook me up with shit. And I would go there, and there's things in the South called boiled peanuts. You ever had boiled peanuts? I'd get a rack of
They have those in South Carolina.
I'd get a rack of Cajun boiled peanuts like fucking this.
They sell and they put them in the brown bags, right?
They put in that back in Bama, they put them in the styrofoam cup. But you're right, the brown bags are very popular too.
Yeah. They did that down in Florida, and they do that in South Carolina. Those are huge.
I should have
roasted peanuts are big.
Every once in a while, still I'll be out, and like somebody will say something to me about like watching our shows, and I'm like, oh fuck. I don't want you as much as I want you watching the show. I don't want you particularly watching my show. You know, you get some guy they're like, oh, watching. I'm like, oh, what have you heard? What have I said that you know about me now?
I had a guy the other day on my ex account go, hey, I heard you and that fucking kid. I go, who kid? Xander? He goes, yeah, you fucking bashing. I go, he ain't bashing anybody. And he goes, I'm sitting here in Detroit, and I really fucking liked, the way you guys do business. I wish the fucking line. And I'm going like, holy cow, we got guys in Detroit that are trolling me on my ex account because they're watching my show. He goes, I watch it every day. When I watch it every day after work when I get off of work over at the plant. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So he goes, I watched the show, and I'm like, that's pretty cool, man.
We actually got a pretty good viewership in Detroit. You'd be surprised. All right, here we go. A couple more. What's that?
Just shocking, man.
Here is Nick. What's up, Nick? Appreciate you, my man, for being here and for the super chats. Real question: is Eli a Hall of Fame without the last name? 500 career would be worst record to ever get, and he was the caboose in the Super Bowl. I'm an Eli as a Hall of Fame guy, but I understand the complexity to the conversation, the 500 career. I get it, but I'll ask you this, Nick. And I understand how good his D-line was. I understand how good that, how those games, Plexico Burris had the big catch, the David Tyreek. I understand it all. Who else has been successful in New York? Before Eli and after Eli?
Phil Simms.
How much before Eli was Phil Simms, though? 20 years prior?
Probably.
That's a pretty significant amount of time.
Okay, what year did Eli? I want to show you something about Eli, and I'm not an Eli guy, but this was brought up to me. What year did Eli win that Super Bowl? Was it 2010? So what year
was it 10?
What year did Eli win the Super Bowl? Give me a date. I want to show you something off the Eli Manning Super Bowls. Watch this, Xander. Eli Manning, and I'll make a point to you about this kid. And I think it's pretty fucking amazing. Okay, so I'm looking up a number. What year did the Giants win the Super Bowl? 2008 and 12. Okay, so 2008. Watch this. Let me go here. 2008 New York Giants. 2008 NY Giants, and I agree with everyone about Hall of Fame stuff with him. But watch this. Okay, here's the New York Giants. 2018 that won the Super Bowl. Okay. So you tell me, here's the offensive guys that they had on the team. The running backs were Ahmad Bradshaw, Brandon Jacobs. The receivers were Derek Hagan. They were Mario Manningham. They were Cineris Moss. Tight ends were Kevin Boss. There's nobody. The offensive line, there was no Hall of Famers. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls with nobody on offense that will ever go to the Hall of Fame. He took 2 teams and won an MVP in those games with no Hall of Famers on offense. None. No, and no one will ever remarkably be close.
It's pretty amazing. So do you think Eli's Hall of Fame then or no?
The 2 Super Bowl MVPs against Brady and Belichick has to matter.
That's what I think is trips me up. Like You got the greatest of all time in Tom, and you got the guy who slayed Tom twice. Like all great superheroes have a kryptonite. You know? Like Eli was the fucking. I get it. It was the Giants. It wasn't just Eli. It wasn't Eli. It's not quarter. I understand all that shit, but Eli's got 2 rings, and they both came against Tom Brady. I'm putting that motherfucker in the Hall of Fame, baby.
I'll tell you what, though, Brady has more of an ass with Foles than he does with Eli. He does, man.
Think about it. Tom lost what, 3 Super Bowls total?
Yeah.
Eli and Foles.
He's 7-3.
How'd you feel? Eli and Foles. That's who I lost to.
Foles would bug me the most. Okay.
The front four did win it. They were great. They were crazy good shooter.
Hey Sanders, did you hear what I said though about Brady? He's 7-3 in Super Bowl.
It's amazing.
He won 70% of the Super Bowls he was
in. And he really should have won more, to be frank. He threw for in the Super Bowl he lost to us. You know, God bless Philly for getting.
He threw for like almost
505 yards.
I know.
All right, here's Nick again. Let this year play out. If it goes bad, next quarterback draft is stacked. Show that class, Andrew. Who's in that class next year? You're going to have, I guess, Julian Sayin and Arch Manning.
2026.
That's
a good question. 2026 NFL prospect draft class.
Saying Dante Moore. I'm not a Dante Moore fan.
I think
Arch Manning, Jaden Maiva, Lenora Sellers, Dylan Raiola.
I think that
Nick, I think you talked it up a little much, dog. I don't know in a lot of these guys.
Bro, I think that guy from Ohio State blows.
You want Lenora Sellers? You know what? Here's the scouting summary from NFL Draft Buzz on Lenora Sellers. NFL projection. The physical tools and developmental trajectory have scouts salivating. Sellers brings a Jalen Hurts-esque skill set.
Hey, I think he plays like Cam Newton.
Who, Sellers?
Yeah. I wanted Mario to get him.
I think people are putting the cart before the horse on Julian saying a little much.
Oh, I don't like that kid at all.
He's small, dude. He's 6'1".
Here's the guys. Manning, Dante Moore, Brendan Sorsby, the kid from Texas Tech. Those are the guys. Those are your top 3 guys. They put Trinidad Chambers, but I think
he got DJ Lagway. That's right. Good pull, Nick. I forgot about him. Who's the new Miami guy?
Darian Messiah, the kid from Duke who won the ACC championship.
Oh, he's actually a good player.
He is. Get this.
Did he commit to Miami?
Yeah, he's at Miami now.
Oh, I didn't say.
He's the ACC Player of the Year too. And get this, he had an $8 million deal at Duke.
Wow, you guys are just like fucking shelling out cash left and right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I was really happy.
Here's Iqbal. What's up, brother? Hopefully I'm saying your name right. You got to let me know if I'm not. Trade for Mahomes. Give picks and Hurts. How many Super Bowls we can win with that? Bro, I appreciate it, dog, but let's you might be like me after that blunt hit on the Super Bowl right now,
bro,
man. Let me come back to earth.
Bro, Jimmy Johnson said if you ever traded for Mahomes, it'd be 5 number 1s. Okay, you'd have to trade 5 1s for a guy like that. Okay, yeah, not happening. Who's going to quarterback Bama this year?
I think who's that kid they had on the bench? I don't know who it's going to be.
The kid that came in for Simpson. The kid that came in for Simpson in the Rose Bowl.
Austin Mack or Keelan Russell. That's right.
Oh, that's good. Because that'll
red
be the
shirt junior Austin Mack and redshirt freshman Keelan Russell.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that because you know why? That'll be the end of Ken DeBoer.
Yeah, not so fast. I think both of those guys are pretty good, man.
I think I ranked fucking Alabama 3rd. I think I ranked them 3rd in the way too early poll for 2000.
A little high, my friend.
Here, let me go. I'll tell you what I ranked them. Way too early. I got to go in my email. Way too early. Top 25. I got Miami up there because
Here's Suo Blaze. He says Nick Singleton or Demon Claiborne. I got a great Nick Singleton story. I was producing the Maxwell Awards, and Nick Singleton, before he ever stepped foot on Penn State's campus, where he had a great career of college ball, he was the high school player of the year, not just high school player of the state, player of the year.
Gatorade player of the year?
Yep. And he was about as humble as a kid as you'd ever imagine when I talked to him backstage.
Huh.
Thanked me for everything I did. That shook my hand, please and thank, manners. That's not everything, but
it is.
I'm a people guy. I like rooting for people that are good people.
Yeah.
He seemed to me like a good dude, so I hope he has a great career.
I like to hear that, dude.
He was a hell of a he in high school, he was the type of dude that just like he shouldn't have even been allowed to play. Like he was like that. He was like that good in high school.
I love
college. He was pretty damn good too.
Yeah, I'm wrong. I had Bama 15th.
Yeah, they're not a top.
I put Alabama 15th on the.
I'll do mine. I'll look at who. I gotta do some research. I've been in the weeds with some.
I think Oregon's going to be up there again. I think Indiana will be probably like around 8th. I think that's going to be interesting to see what they do with because all them James Madison guys are gone now, Xander. So they're gone. So I put here's what I sent to the Football Writers Association. I've got Ohio State 1. I got Texas 2. I've got Georgia 3. I got Oregon 4. I got Notre Dame 5. I got A&M 6. Texas Tech 7. Indiana 8th. I got Michigan 9. Oklahoma 10. SC 11. BYU 12. Miami 13. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Where'd you have Indiana?
8th.
Going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, brother. I got to run. All right, man.
All right, my friend. I appreciate it very much. We're going to pay some bills here. See you in the morning on Birds 365, dude.
Later, brother. Appreciate everybody for listening.
You got it. All right, guys. Let's pay some bills here. Guys, our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. It is because they win. With over $30 billion recovered. I tell you this, they started this company years ago. And Morgan & Morgan, it's a family-run business. It's all the kids now are involved in it. Dan Morgan, everyone is involved with making sure that you, if you're ever hurt or injured on the job, are defended like nobody else. I told you about the family here in Pennsylvania, initially offered $650,000. They ended up getting $30 million in recovery. Another family down in Florida, $350,000. They ended up getting, again, $12 million recovered. There's no company and there's no injury law firm like Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound love 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound love 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Mm-hmm. Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica, who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Appreciate you guys coming aboard. Please hit the like button. Yeah, man. You know, I was when I was talking to Xander, I'm kind of more on the fence now and I had a conversation with somebody, and I think you guys know. You know how you motivate somebody? What you do is you tell the guy, hey, listen, we really love you, but I'm not giving you a 3-year contract. And I'm talking to Jalen Carter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a 3-year deal, and I'm going to extend Jordan Davis. And if you extend Jordan Davis, okay, you're either going to find out if Jalen Carter goes in the tank or if he ups his game. Because if he ups his game, you can always address the contract in season. And Drew Rosenhaus would be open to anything. But giving Jalen Carter that contract right now, it doesn't make sense. The guy has not earned it. Reputation, listen, he had a really good 24. My opinion, if I'm Howie, I go like this. Well, dude, the guy was great because he had Josh Sweat and Milton Williams around him. Those guys went on to Arizona and up to New England, and those guys had great years. Both those players played well this year. They didn't take steps back. Not one of them. The only guy that took a step here, let me take a look at what Josh Sweat did this season. Josh Sweat didn't take steps back. Was he one of the leaders in sacks this year? Josh Sweat had 12 sacks. Josh Sweat didn't take a step back. Josh Sweat elevated his game. Josh Sweat had 12 sacks. What else did he have? Sweat had 12 sacks. He had 13 tackles for losses. The guy even had a pick. I mean, he would have led the Eagles in sacks. Okay? I mean, he didn't play bad, and Milton Williams upped his game. The only guy out of the three that didn't play well was Carter. Any thoughts on PSU and Ohio State wrestling match Friday night? Man, I can't wait for that. I'm glad, Shady, you watch that stuff because I watch that on you're going to watch that on the Big Ten Network, right? I watch wrestling all the time on the Big Ten Network. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, is Cale still there? Is Cale Sanderson still there coaching Penn State? God, he's such a great coach. Daniel Cormier is coaching Oklahoma State, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, dude, I like Marcus Freeman. I am a huge Marcus Freeman guy. He makes me kind of like, root for him. I'm good with him. All right. Everything you're saying about Shady, some good stuff here. Everything you're saying about the new offense boils, yes, it does. It completely boils down to how good Jalen is going to play. Absolutely. And I believe the coaches know that. Okay. But yeah, Shady. Ohio State and Penn State. Iowa, obviously. Iowa's still really, really good right now. I think Iowa, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, those schools are great. So I appreciate you guys. I believe tomorrow. Look, I'm still trying to get Brian Westbrook on. He's trying to find a time for me either tomorrow or Monday. So we're working on him as well. Guys, I appreciate you very much. Please hit the like button. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.